Good morning. You guys remember playing together in person? That was nice, wasn't it? I miss doing that for sure. Um, and I was just playing the fourth movement of Beethoven Symphony Number 9 because I'm crossing my fingers, that it will work out for us to begin our season with this piece in November. A few things have to fall into place. One of them is choir and soloists. Uh, but I think it'd be so epic to open our season with Beethoven Symphony Number 9, uh, especially after everything we're all going through, because this is crazy. Uh, yeah, and I mean it's been what, like a month. Um, I mean, even before the Regina Carter concert, I mean, it's like 2 weeks before maybe a Regina Carter concert, or that things started, people really started to talk about the coronavirus. And I remember also, like, we were sort of afraid that maybe, Regina would email us being like, I don't feel like safe enough to travel with the virus. But of course, luckily we did have that concert. I'm so glad we had that concert. Can you imagine? Whew. And then soon after that, things just went into social distancing, and then eventually lockdown. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels like it's been like a whole year already, right? So there are a few things I want to get through during this session. But the first thing I want is I want you guys to check in. So in the comments, how are you doing, and um, how are you feeling? Let's just do a quick comment check-in. I didn't get to see you in person, but I do want to hear from you guys. And a bunch of you, I mean, not many, but some of you have been watching the weekday virtual hangouts, and that has been a great way to keep in touch with some of you guys. And I appreciate you tuning into those. Those have been a lot of fun. And as a matter of fact, during this session this morning, there are a few highlights from the hangouts, the weekday hangouts, that I want to play for you guys. Again, because the vast majority of you have not been able to watch those, and there has been some really amazing information that has been shared by some of these artists. So I want to do that. But let me know how you're doing. Can you please comment? And this session will be pretty interactive too, in the way of using the YouTube comments to discuss some of the things we're going to be talking about. So come on, let me hear from you. Type some comments. Let me know how you're doing. It's 21 of you watching right now, and while I wait for you guys, I'll give you a few seconds. Just let me know how's it going. Just let me know how you guys are doing. I'm just gonna pull up my notes here for this particular session. How are you feeling? Are you guys hanging in there? First of all, are you healthy? Are you keeping, like, are you busy? Are you less busy than usual, than normal? Um, one specific thing that I want to ask you, um, and but first of all, let me know how you're doing. That's the first. That's thing number one. Uh, and I'm gonna write it down here. How are you doing? Any general updates? Um, yeah, Jessica, I feel for you guys, for seniors. That blows. And I mean, certainly. I mean, this is one, like, I don't know if this has ever happened before at this scale. Maybe World War II. I don't know. But that can be pretty sad and depressing to know that you're not gonna have those traditions. On the other hand, I mean, nobody will ever forget this year, right? Um, so sleeping in, nice breakfasts. That's good. Yeah. Full school because you're homeschooled. Okay. Okay, you're waiting for the contra read. That's all good. Pretty busy. So some of you are pretty busy. Some of you have more free time than usual. Getting more schoolwork, fall into a routine. Okay, those are all good things. Um, except the fact that seniors will not be able to have the normal traditions. And I know this year we have many seniors in the orchestra. Uh, Online classes, now they figure we have more time, so they give us more work. And Alex, that's one of the things I want to talk about. So thank you for mentioning that. Whoa, a flute from 1904. Cool. Whoa, okay. Figure out the tuning system. So it's a different. I don't actually. I confess that I don't know much about the history of flutes and how they have evolved over time. So that's interesting. Molly, maybe we'll have you do a guest appearance in a hangout to talk about that. Just watching all the Best Picture noms. um, that's a good project. You know, I once wanted to watch every single, and but I imagine you mean nominees, and I imagine you're talking about the Academy Awards. I've wanted to watch every single Best Picture that has ever, like ever won the Oscar for Best Picture, and have that as a project, but I just never did it. Okay, so very good. Oh, D flat. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so here's my next question for you guys, and I want everybody to please answer, and answer honestly. And this has to do with what Alex is saying, that all of his classes are online, and now that the school has figured you have more time, they give you more work. So, what's your... Okay, this is a two-part question. Number one, um, are you getting more, same, less work from school? And second part of this question, and please everybody answer, because we want at MYS we want to know how to best serve you, and this let's call this a survey, and you, Symphony Orchestra, will help us help you, but also help all the other ensembles. So this is a two-part question. Are you getting more, same, or less work from school? And number two, what are you doing? Trying to figure out how to ask this question. Most of you play with your school ensembles, right? So what sort of work are you being assigned by your music teachers at school for music ensemble classes at school? So please answer, because again, this will help us really know what to do. Because as you know, at MYS, while we strive for excellence and we want to challenge you guys and push you guys, we always want to be sensitive to everything else that's going on in your life, right? And it's a difficult balance to achieve. But we want to do that in a way that you'll get the best out of your experience with MYS, even in this situation, but also in a way that's not gonna cause more stress and pressure in your life, but rather it'll bring joy and enjoyable challenges. Okay, good. So here's some information coming in. But same amount of work from school. And Emma is saying that seniors aren't required to do online classes unless you want to, but school ensembles are using a lot of smart music assignments. Emma, would you please tell me more about that? What sort of assignments are you getting through smart music? Okay, so learning solo pieces and sight reading. Okay, less, because Jessica, you're also a senior, but you have to study for AP exams, so you still have a lot. And playing tests. And Jessica, what's a playing test like? Do they give you excerpts you have to record and submit, or what? Some of you are homeschooled, like Ileana and Emmanuel and a few others. Classes were canceled, but the same amount of work. Classes were canceled, but you miss ensemble playing. So do I. So yes, a few of you are homeschooled. Uh, I guess now we're all homeschooled, kind of. um, more schoolwork, but more time to do it. The hard part is time managing everything. Theory and sight reading factory tests. Okay, so yes, I'm familiar with that website. Mystics, yes, and I know Mystics will also do a virtual performance. And I know that Michael has communicated with you guys about. Michael has started that process with you guys, communicating about your Mystics virtual performance based on what instruments or what things you have available in the way of instruments. Good. Thank you for this, you guys. This is very, very valuable. Drum lessons, played in school orchestra, and plays piano trio with our orchestra. Group 1 at PPS districts, and now nobody knows if there will still be if we're still doing state. Man. Okay. Same virtual band meetings per week. Smart music assignments, okay. Weekly portfolio track or practicing, okay. Lily, what do you guys do at your virtual band meetings? Is this via Zoom? So do you see each other via Zoom, or how do you guys do that? Lily, if you could expand. Schoolwork is the same. Watch videos with their instrument, and we comment on style and technique. Okay. I'm starting to take high school classes. I'm taking college courses. We haven't started yet, so I'm getting no work. Okay. And I'm glad to know you got the contra, George, and that you were waiting for that read. And I'm going to talk about Satchmo and our virtual performances in a moment. Scale, schools band isn't very advanced, okay? More for Alex in college. Piano class, videos playing, repertoire, band, repertoire study, virtual performance of a chorale. And Alex, are you guys going to be doing that sort of in a similar way that we are doing those? I'm curious, with like a click track, or how are you recording that chorale, and also with your percussion ensemble. AP classes, community building Zooms. So are you guys? So are most of you using Zoom for anything at all? What virtual platforms do you guys use that are like Zoom, where you like talk to other people? You know, some of you use Google, like Google Classroom maybe, but does that have like a live conversational thing like Zoom? Okay. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Cancel band. So smart music lets people just play along with the track as it's running, and it tracks intonation. So it's really basic songs that you just kind of play along with. Both choir and orchestra are using it. Okay. This is great. Thank you for this. And if I ask you to expand, I appreciate that. Google Meet. Okay. Okay. Zoom, Google Meet, Zoom, Google Meet. My class meet through Zoom, Google Meets. And those of you who have used both Zoom and Google Meet, do you have a preference? Or maybe, WebEx, I don't know that. Microsoft Teams, yes, I know UP is using Microsoft Teams. Google Meets, okay. And is Google Meets like Zoom? Like everybody like calls in and you have your little webcam window? I suppose I could Google this, but since you guys are here, you can tell me. Because I think that would be fun. We should do something like that, so we can actually see each other instead of you just kind of sitting there just watching me and hearing me talk and watching me drink coffee. Okay, so let me know about Google Meet and Zoom, how similar or different they are. But this is all great. So let me move on a couple of other things. So as you know, we are still hopeful that things will work out and restrictions will be lifted so that we can actually have a concert on June 23rd. That's a Tuesday, and Jessica, you pointed out that there was a mistake in the email that was sent from our office, and because it said, I think, Tuesday the 25th or something. It's Tuesday, June 23rd. We're looking at. So we're still hopeful, and we're crossing our fingers. There's really nothing we can do but just wait and hope, and also hope that people will continue to follow distancing guidelines, and we will flatten the curve, as they say, and that will be good to do something in person in June. Okay. So I just wanted to mention that, and we have that to look forward to and to hope for. Zoom cuts you off after 40 minutes. Okay, but that's only like if the host has a paid account. I don't think that happens. So Zoom hasn't cut me off. Yeah, it doesn't improve. Yeah, I know. I agree. Before I upgrade it, it kept saying we have extended your session. Google Meet puts everyone on one screen, but Zoom splits you into more pages if there's a lot of people. Got it. Okay. So, I wonder they just have to send a link, but Zoom user requires a password of sorts. Yeah. Okay. And if we were to do a one of these sessions, should we use Zoom or Google Meets? So let me know, and we'll plan it. Okay, so we have hopefully the June concert to look forward to. Now, this is very important. MYS registration is now open. Okay, so you can go ahead and register now for next year. And you guys do not need to audition as usual, as long as you register before the date that we communicated, which I believe, and I should really look at this so I don't give you wrong information, I believe is June 1st. So you have to register online before June 1st. And I really want to look this up in my email because Chris sent it out, and I don't want to give you wrong information. Musicians currently playing in Symphony Orchestra do not need to submit auditions as long as you complete a registration by June 1st. So it really doesn't take long, you guys, and I hope that, unless you're leaving town, I hope you will register for next year and do it now. It really will not take very much time at all. You'll get it done, and you can just forget about it, and you don't even have to worry about missing the June 1st deadline for sending an audition. So maybe grab your calendar right now and create like a 15-minute appointment for yourself tomorrow or whenever. Register for MYS, get it done, get it out of the way. Like I said, I'm crossing fingers that it will work out for us to open our season with Beethoven Symphony Number 9. Ted, to answer an email that you sent me and I never replied to, I'm hoping, again, this is all preliminary, that we will play Stravinsky's Petrushka in March. And we have other options we're looking at for the other concerts. But if you're in town, and officially, you can be an MYS through your second year of college. That's the official guideline. So if you're going to be in town and, and you want to play and you are going into your second year of college, you can register. And Molly, I can't remember where you are in your college journey, but shoot me an email, and if you're going to your third year, I would love to find a way to include you, to give you a role, because we appreciate you, and if you're here, we would love for you to continue to be a part of the MYS community. So again, through your second year of college. So if you're graduating high school, but you're going to be in town, if you're going to be going to one of the universities here, or if whatever the case may be, you can still register, and I hope you will if you're around. We have a lot of great music to play. Oh, I cannot wait, you guys. Yeah. Okay, so there's that MYS registration. Now, okay, now let me talk to you about the Satchmo and our virtual performances. So, my original timeline for creating the Satchmo video, it's just not working out. So I was hoping to be able to finish it and release it on Tuesday, and I was going to give you the arrangement for the Queen song on last Tuesday, but things have gotten so busy because now we're planning virtual performances for all the other ensembles. And we're just dealing with, still with, adjusting and dealing with the current situation, but planning next season. So my original timeline, unfortunately, will not work out. We did receive your Satchmo videos. Thank you for sending those. And we have, this time, we have a volunteer, an MYS parent, who is helping with the audio. So the audio is going to be mixed very, very nicely, better than what I did with the Brahms, which I just did directly on the video editing software that I use. But we're going to have very nice audio mixed by an MYS parent who has the right equipment and the right skills, and who has been very generous with his time to help us with this. So we're going to be working on that next week. But again, I'm sorry that my original timeline was just too ambitious, unfortunately, for the workload that we're having right now. So I will be in touch about the next piece, right? I still want us to do the Queen song, and I actually wrote to somebody earlier this morning to see if we can get some help with the arrangement itself. So I'll keep you posted about that. The other consideration that we have right now is that because we are recording these things and we're going to publish them on the internet, that may cause some issues with music that is not in the public domain. But there's music that is in the public domain we can just absolutely do. So in addition to the Queen song, which Brian May posted an Instagram challenge, so we're not going to get in trouble for that, plus the arrangement will be original. I'm thinking that the next piece we'll do is Dvorak's Slavonic Dance No. 1. Okay? But I'll be in touch about this via email. So just bear with me a little bit with in this process. And I see that most of you are pretty busy anyways, right? So it's probably not a bad thing that we pace these a little bit better, so they're not quite as like every week you need to be sending a video, but we'll be a little flexible with that timeline as we continue to work on Satchmo, which is going to be awesome, by the way, and whatever we're doing next. And that brings me to, very important too, I need your feedback now again, okay? I'm going to write a comment here, new topic. I would like your feedback right now on the Satchmo click tracks and the Satchmo recording and submitting process, okay? Satchmo, so Satchmo feedback, click tracks, recording, submitting process. So let me know your thoughts, please, right now. Go ahead and type your comments. Again, this will help optimize and improve how we do these for you and for other MYS groups. So you probably noticed that the first click track, the introduction click track, it was me with my claves and like talking and then playing. And then the second and third tracks had a computer generated click track. Um, because when I did them with claves, it was just awful. It wasn't, it wasn't very even, my timekeeping with the claves. So a computer click was definitely, in my opinion, the better choice. Okay, so we have a thumbs down for Dropbox here. Oh, and by the way, something weird happened with some of your videos, and I don't know if it was Dropbox or what, but some videos didn't get uploaded, or somewhere in the process of uploading and then downloading, the files lost their extension. So, like, they were not being opened by anything. And for some of them, it was just as easy as me just typing in at the end of the file name .mov or .mp4, and that fixed it. But some of them just didn't work. So I emailed a few of you. Some of you sent me your videos directly, and that worked well. And I still have a couple of emails that I need to send out to a couple of you that I will need you to resend things. Also, a couple of people sent like two files, two videos of the same excerpt by accident. Like, you send me your introduction twice and then Hello Dolly, and didn't send Saints or whatever. Things like that, but that's just accidents. Okay, so I'm reading the comments now. Satchmo, Dropbox took forever. Google Drive works better for me. Dropbox took a lot longer to upload. Dropbox was slow. Submission process felt weird. Okay, Dropbox was difficult. Took me a while to download my video and submit it. Visual Dropbox, yeah, mine felt weird. Tracks were great, but I heard Dropbox. Okay, so I'm getting the gist here. Okay, so we'll talk about this internally. Because yeah, for us, definitely the advantage of Dropbox is that when you send your videos, they all just go to the same place, and they just kind of appear on our Dropbox, and it's just easier on our end. But some of you didn't have a problem with it, so well, again, we'll talk about this internally. Chris and I will talk. And the thing is, we need to figure out a system that's unified, because when we start receiving videos from all like 600 MYS students, we you know, it's going to be quite a bit of work. But we'll see. Maybe the best thing to do is just to maybe give you two options. But anyways, but thank you for this feedback. I appreciate it, and we'll see. You know, we'll see what makes the most sense. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for that. So, very good. So I talked to you about Satchmo feedback, about the timeline for these recordings. You told me what you're doing at your school ensembles and with schoolwork. We spoke about MYS registration. Okay. Good. So what I want to do now is, like I said earlier, not many of you have been able to watch our weekday hangouts because you're busy or whatever it is. And there are a few very specific bits from those hangouts that I want to share with you guys. And I want to discuss each little bit on the comments. Okay, and this is going to be really amazing information, advice about life and career in general, or specifically about practicing. And I know you've been doing probably some of this also with your school bands and having these conversations, but I want to play, like I said, specifically from these amazing guests that we had. And I think some of these clips will be especially useful right now for those of you who are juniors or seniors, and you're feeling like you basically have to figure out what you're going to be doing with the rest of your life after high school. and to choose your college journey. And there's often a lot of pressure. And even if you're younger, if you're a freshman or sophomore or even younger, uh, these thoughts will be useful. So these are short clips. Some of them are 2 to 3 minutes. I think maybe one of them is 5 minutes. So the first one I want to play for you guys. We're gonna listen to it together, and feel free to react on the comments as you listen to the clip, or after the clip is done, we're going to discuss. Okay, so the first one is from Gabriela Lina Frank, the composer. We've played her music. We were going to play her music again for our dance party concert, and hopefully we will in June. So let's hear from her. This is her talking about something that really stuck with me, and that is what she calls basically the concept. The concept is that regardless of what institutions you go to when it comes to your college education or your graduate degrees, like really you are leading the way. It's you're going to the university of you. So, anyways, let's listen and feel free to react to the comments, or we'll talk when it's over. Here it goes.
I remember my father telling me when I started at Rice University and then got my doctorate at University of Michigan, he would say, "You're at the University of Gabriela. Don't forget that." And it made a lot of sense to me that I had to think of these two universities as a supplement to what I was going to teach myself, because they couldn't hand anything to me. And that's kind of audacious when your private teacher is just a giant in your life, and the values of all the other students around you freaking out about their life and learning this piece and doing that competition is all around you. But my father and my mom had set me on a certain kind of mindset early on. So it has stood me in good stead, and then I didn't expect a thriving career, and it happened. I had some lucky breaks. There's these lucky breaks that come up in a flash and then can disappear, and you have to have a lot going on so that one of them you may catch. But you have to make them as well. You can't be passive and wait for that phone to ring. You have to actively create a scenario for you, for your art to thrive. And you can do it with the help of your teachers, people more powerful. So as I got even more successful, I started looking at it as leverage. And my composers will really recognize what I'm saying, because I say this to all of them, that the value of success and the value of money that you get paid, and meeting ever more famous performers, moving up that success ladder. If you only value that for that, it's like an opium hit. Is that you're waiting for the next high, the next time you win an award, the next time you get a good review, and you will never be satisfied. But instead, you think of it as adding leverage. And what are you going to do with that leverage? Then you start building things. You realize that there needs to be a school, or there needs to be a group, or there needs to be a humanitarian effort. And instead of becoming a lesser artist, when a lot of people think sometimes you devote your time to anything outside of you, that you're not as good or you're just a community activist, it's the opposite. Your skill set can be worthy to hang on to that attention. And so to me, it's one and the same thing. And I think I'm more articulate about it now that I have time to. I'm 47 years old, so I'm in the second half of my life. And now that I have had time to retroactively look back and kind of unpack all my experiences. But I had that sentiment from the beginning, even if I didn't understand what was going on.
And that was such incredible advice from your dad, and I think it also has to do with finding your core
Yeah.
and finding your voice. And as you make it through different stages of your life and your professional growth, right? If you have that core and what you do artistically and outside of your art, if that's coming from that genuine center, right?
Yeah. And you don't have to exactly know what it is yet. You can just go to something simply because it moves you, and you can figure it out later why. That's okay. You don't have to be able to be that articulate or make an argument verbally. And I remember sometimes I was a very silent student, because I knew what I was doing with the right step, but I didn't want to have to justify it to a teacher or a coach because I knew I would sound not convincing, but I knew it was right and I have to become convincing. So it's really important, I think, for educators and mentors and teachers to identify what we think is an inclination and to just encourage that young person to go and define it better and go explore this, stay with this for a couple years, write some music, play some music. If you feel like there's a connection here, try it. And you may not be successful, but there's something here. There's some fire here, and you need to go and light it. So, and there's still a lot of stuff I can't identify now, but I know now to trust it. That I'm not going to give up on some sentimental inclination I have just yet.
Cool. And so, reactions to that, please. Type in the comments. That conversation with her was really, I don't know, it really stuck with me. I mean, the whole conversation with her. This is just like a 3 or 4 minute excerpt, but she has this just really wise way of framing these issues, and I think it's useful for anybody at any stage of their lives, but especially so, I would imagine, for uh, you know, you guys right now in this moment in your lives. When I think back about my years in high school, I had passions and I had interests, um, and I think I was aware that I didn't really quite know what my core was, really. And not being aware of that, I think, allowed me to sort of just keep an open mind. And yes, you have to make decisions uh, at this age, but like she was saying, it's okay to not know, and it's okay to do something just because it moves you, and it's okay to do something just because it brings you joy, or it's something you believe in at this point in your life, and it's okay to trust those instincts. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Let's see what you guys have to react about this, or maybe you disagree, and that's also totally fine. So give me something, you guys. Let's. Is this something that applies to you right now? Um, or perhaps, I mean, I also know people who knew exactly what they wanted to do with the rest of their lives from when they were like 10 years old. Um, so that happens. It exists. Um, I don't know if one of the two, I don't know which one is the norm. There's probably no norm, right? We're all different, but I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. So maybe I'll just sit here in silence while you type. What do you mean, Luca? Which part speaks to you? Um, so yes, so Amelia is saying, I think that as someone who doesn't want to pursue music professionally but spend a lot of time doing music, the message that you don't need to justify yourself is nice to hear. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's okay to do, like she said, it's okay to do something because you enjoy it and because it moves you. And music certainly uh, is that. Um, and of course, we all know that everything you guys are gaining from your music and your music training will be useful for many other things you do later in life. Yeah. Thank you, Emmanuel. Yeah, sometimes there's a sort of a general path, and you follow that path. And I mean, in my life, that's basically what I did. Even though, I did, as many of you know, I started uh, college as a microbiology major, and I've always had a passion for science and math. Um, and I also did music at the same time, so it was sort of a general path. But then as I went along, some doors opened, and some of those doors I just decided to keep walking and just pass by, and other doors I decided to enter. Emma says there's a lot of pressure nowadays for us to go into a future that will guarantee future financial support. Yes, and it's reassuring to hear that you can choose to do something not just because it makes sense. Yes, so Luca, I think it's okay to change. Yes, and learn about new fields and careers in college is a time where you can have support for your interests. True. I think important because there's so much pressure put on making all the right choices when looking at the future. Yes. Um, you can always start out in a general idea, then later go more in depth. Yes, I agree with all of those things. And I think it's about priorities also. What's important to you. And of course, yes, I mean, we need to think about our future, and eventually, you have to play the game, right? You have to have some income, and you have to be able to support yourself financially. But I think it's about your priorities. And one of you, a member of this orchestra, wrote to me requesting my thoughts for a difficult college decision they had to make, and that was sort of my advice. Think about what your priorities are. Um, if your if your passion is music and you want to have music as your career, you also need to understand the challenges that will come with that. You know, um, but also the benefits, and it has to do with how you want to spend your time. How important is it to you to have, I don't know, like a four-car garage? I don't know, just and it's okay to not know the answers right away, but I think, like Luca is saying, um, as long as you're moving somewhere and you're doing something productive and you're doing something that will allow you to grow and learn, um, you know, everything that you do will feed all those other parts of your life as you continue your journey. Okay, cool. Thank you for those reactions. So here's another clip I want to play for you. And this one, let's see, we have 15 minutes. Okay, so you all know Nancy Ives. She is the principal cello of the Oregon Symphony. This is a short clip. She shared 3 quotes as part of our hangout with her that I want to share with you and get your reactions. Listen to all 3 and write on the comments just the number 1, 2, or 3 if any of those speaks to you directly. Okay, so here's Nancy Ives with her 3 quotes.
But so I actually have some quotes that I printed out because I realized that I kind of live by these quotes. So one that's been very important to me was something attributed to Goethe, which is, as soon as you trust yourself, you will know how to live. And for me, that goes along with something Gandhi said, which is happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And that's also a definition of integrity, that the inner and outer self are in alignment. So if you want to live with integrity and you want to be happy and you want to know how to live, understanding yourself is the key, because you want your inner and outer self to be in alignment. You don't want to be like you don't want to torture yourself like I did, thinking, oh, I'm not doing what I want to do, and then just keep doing it. It's like, well, obviously I am doing what I want to do because I keep doing it. Yeah. So I had that, I wasn't in alignment, or it wasn't, yeah. So
and Were those two, or were those?
Yes,
three?
I have a third quote.
Okay.
This is from Mary Oliver, the poet. The most regretful people on earth are those who felt the call to creative work, who felt their own creative power rested in uprising, and gave to it neither power nor time.
Hmm.
And that's the one that applies to my more recent journey, because being in the symphony and having all these, and teaching chamber music, Lewis and Clark, and being in groups like Pure Music, and it takes up a ton of time. And the part of me that's like, that I want to compose again, I did a lot when I was younger, and then I stopped. And it's like, if I hadn't cleared the way to make more time for that, I would be on my way to being one of those regretful people.
Yeah. Those three quotes are really great. I mean, and all three of them together also, I feel like they complement each other.
Here, I'm going to put them on the screen so anyone wants to can take a screenshot.
Oh, yes, screenshot of that. Okay, so reactions to those quotes. Let me put them up on the screen. Let's see if I can sort of find those easily. I think I can. Hold on. While I look for the quotes to put on the screen, let me just write 1, 2, or 3 if any of these spoke to you. Here we go.
But so I actually.
Okay. So I'm gonna just put those up. Okay. Okay, so here they are. I'm getting pretty efficient at navigating this streaming program. So here they are. As soon as you trust yourself, you will know how to live. Second quote is, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And number 3, the most regretful people on earth are those who felt the call to creative work, who felt their own creative power restive and uprising and gave to it neither power nor time. Okay, and also I want to clarify here, by the way, the third quote, it's talking about creative work, but that's not just music. Okay, so I don't want you to feel like this quote is about music. You can do creative work in any field, in the arts or outside of the arts. There's always creativity that you can do. So I just want to clarify, that third quote can be about anything you want, not necessarily about music, but of course for most of us it is about music. Yes, so Jessica is offering, cognitive dissonance. Your brain freaks out if your actions and what you believe don't match and makes you change one or the other. Yeah. Yes, 3 is a good reminder that I need to be spending more time pursuing stuff that I haven't had time to do. It's hard to find balance. I mean, that's a personal challenge of mine also. So anyways, you can go back and rewatch this video, and if you want to copy those quotes for yourself that Nancy Ives shared with us, they're great quotes, and I'm so thankful that she shared those with us. Okay, so I'm going to remove those from the screen now, and I am going to play I wanted to play more clips, but we're going to run out of time. I am going to end with Johannes Moser, the famous cellist who was a guest in the Hangout, talking about practice. Okay, so now we're talking about music, we're talking about practice. Here we go. This is a short clip, a couple of minutes maybe. Here it is.
Well, Raul, I'm giving away one of the clues here. But I always loved to practice. And just since you asked, I just have to say.
Sure.
But we have a second set coming, and I'm not going to say anything.
Well, and we'll still have two to choose from. So.
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the game is still
on. No, the experience with the cello and me was always that To tell you the truth, whenever I practiced, I didn't have to do my math homework. So there was an added benefit to my practicing. But in all seriousness, I always felt that there is something so physical about the instrument, how I have felt it, that I was really missing it if there ever came a time when I didn't practice for 1 or 2 days. I didn't just emotionally miss it, but also physically miss the instrument. And I remember that it gave me great satisfaction from the very beginning, and I didn't quite understand why, until I understood that I have a tendency to enjoy problem solving. And I love doing sudokus, and I love doing, like, riddle kind of situations. And practicing is nothing else. It is problem solving. You have a problem, you have a scale, and you need to get it in tune, or you have a phrase and you need to go through it, or whatever it is. And that sense of problem solving was becoming quite an adventure for me. So when I understood that I really have these riddles in front of me, and I need to tackle them with full force, that was something that motivated me a lot. And performing, I mean, I was always very nervous as a kid to perform, but at the same time, I loved it. So also a contradiction there. But it's, I mean, for the practicing part, whenever I hear people say, like, to this day, I hate practicing. I'm like, well, there is so much joy in it. And also, practicing itself can be a creative process, I find, right? I mean, the way you organize your practice, the way you choose which technique to use to solve a problem, I mean, that's a very creative and exciting process. So I don't see where the boredom could possibly come.
So there you have it. Let's react to that. My first reaction is I'm wearing basically the same outfit, which is kind of my one of my 2 or 3 uniforms that I just wear because I like to keep things simple. Uh, and the baseball hat backwards is just so I don't have to worry about my hair for these streams. And if I wear the visor forward, there's shade, there's shadow. So anyway, so that's my first reaction. Maybe I should hire a wardrobe assistant for my streams. But isn't that a cool way to think about practicing problem solving? And Nancy Ives was watching. I don't know if you could see the comments on the video from that particular session. Nancy Ives was watching and she commented with a resounding yes. Practice is problem solving. And when you organize your practice, you're creative with it. It's more satisfying. It really is, and we have had several sessions on practicing for some of the other groups in the last couple of Saturdays. And one thing that stuck with me is the importance of making your practice sessions objective driven or goal driven, and to have specific goals for your session, and those goals need to be achievable. And if you look at those goals from a problem-solving perspective, right, then you're choosing to organize your practice in a way that you are solving specific problems, right? And or maybe you're working towards solving a specific problem. You're not gonna like fix your third finger trill in 30 minutes. But that idea of practice as problem solving and practice as a creative endeavor, I think, is really cool and really refreshing. What are your reactions on that? I wish I could miss my instrument if I didn't play. I wish I could miss my instrument. Well, Molly, what do you mean? I wish I could miss my instrument if I didn't play. Will you rephrase that for me? but I will share something with you, Molly, and everybody else. And that is my relationship with my violin and my viola. I was for many years a very, very serious violinist and violin student, right? And viola also, which I started to play when I was 17 or 18. By the way, I wish I had started playing viola earlier, play both earlier. But so I was very serious with my instruments, and for the longest time, I had a similar relationship as what Johannes describes. But then there came a point in around my master's degree where I went into this sort of like crisis, and I really I remember one practice session. I was practicing, and I had a job with a professional orchestra. I was doing well, and I was pushing myself, and I had a practice session, and then I just kind of stopped and I looked at my violin. And I was like, why am I what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Who am I apart from this thing that I used to make sound with? Who am I apart from my violin? And again, this wasn't my master's, so I mean, from where you guys are in life right now, it's like, I don't know, like 8 years, 9 years apart, right? And that led me in a process over the next few years of exploration, and at first within my instrumental playing with jazz and other styles, and within music with composition, eventually conducting, which later became, of course, my main professional activity. I guess after streaming, which now appears to be my my primary professional occupation. But so Molly, I wonder if that's sort of what you miss. Are you talking about, or maybe I just misunderstood your relationship with your instrument? I'm curious to know more. But that was my journey. I just had a point where I kind of stopped, and that doesn't happen to everybody. Again, I know many people who, like Johannes, that's who they are forever, right? But my journey and my relationship with my instrument was not that, it was not straight line. It had, ups and downs, and but music, of course, has always been a part of that. And in my own journey, also, I've explored all kinds of other things that have nothing to do with music, that I've enjoyed. Okay, so yeah, that's that, Molly. I see your comment, and that's sort of what I gathered from it. Um, yeah, and I get that sentiment, you know. But that brings me back to my point, and we're about to finish our session, and that is that because I have explored other things and I get satisfaction from many things, conducting, teaching, studying, score studying, uh, and of course, I mean, I'm not even talking about my life outside of my professional life with my family, my wife, my daughter, like learning woodworking, spending time outside, all of that. Um, uh, because I have all of those other things. Like you, Molly, if I don't play for a day or two or a week, it's not a big deal for me personally, because I am getting that satisfaction from other things, like you, Molly, with repairing and working on things. But you have that. You're getting that from something, and that's totally fine. And I do miss playing. And when I do get to play, and when I do get to practice, and when I do get to get in shape, back into shape because I have a performance or something, I know how to do that over like a couple of weeks. Like I know what to do, how to get back into like as top form as I can. But that's okay. So I guess my I will leave you with the thought that we're all different, and whether or not you cannot live, without playing every day, right? I think that Johannes' approach to practicing as problem solving and as a creative activity makes it a lot more exciting and meaningful. And for those of you who have trouble motivating yourselves to practice, which you should be doing every day at this level, um, that's just a great approach, right? So we're going to stop here. We're out of time. But you guys go back to the MYS YouTube channel and watch some of those hangouts, okay, if you haven't. And by the way, congratulations to William Graham for winning the MYS meme tournament on Wednesday. If you missed it, let's see if I still have it here loaded into a yeah, there it is. The meme on your right is the winner of the meme tournament. So that hangout was just, we had the meme tournament just for fun, but all the other hangouts have had really, really amazing guests. So check those out if you haven't done that. And so just to wrap up, register for MYS. Go to the website right now. Do it. Get it out of the way so you don't have to worry about missing a deadline. Number two, keep your eyes and ears open for emails from me about the timeline for the next few arrangements and virtual performance recordings. And that's it. Thank you for all your feedback and information on this session. This will be very useful for all of us. Okay. If you have time, you guys, at 10:15, Liz Payton is going to be leading a session on performance anxiety for concert orchestra strings and Vivaldi strings, but it'll be good for any of you who also want to just maybe keep this on in the background and while you do whatever you need to do, but it'll be a good session. So if you want, stick around. If not, I will see you all soon. So thank you again, and take care. Stay healthy. Keep practicing. Let's listen to a little bit more Beethoven. And here we go. Good morning. It's great to see a bunch of you already here. This is a session for the string players of concert orchestra and Vivaldi strings, and I'm very excited about this session. So let's go ahead and call Mr. Payton and Miss Payton, who are standing by, waiting to get started. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, good morning.
How's it going?
Good. All right. Good to see you.
It's great to see both of you, and you're now up on the screen. We can hear you and we can see you.
Wonderful.
And thank you. And thank you, Liz, for volunteering to spend some time with us too.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So we have, as you both know, musicians from concert orchestra strings and Vivaldi strings watching. And if it's okay with the two of you, I wanted to just give a couple of brief announcements at the top of rehearsal.
Go for it.
But we'll keep you up on the screen anyways. So first of all, I want to remind everybody, you got emails this week. Registration for MYS is now open. Okay, so you can go to the website, playmys.org, and you can register. You can do that today. And auditions this year will be via video. So all of your auditions you will record at home, and you will send a video. Of course, this is because of current restrictions for gatherings, right, and in-person activities. And after you register, you'll get an email with instructions for creating and sending your auditions. And because these are self-recorded, unfortunately for us, no sight reading this year for auditions. That's probably welcome news to many of you watching. So, but I really want to encourage you guys to register right away. So just get it out of the way. And your videos you can send starting on June 1st. So you don't have to make your videos right now. You can start sending those after June 1st. But do register, just get it out of the way. You know, we hope all of you will come back. I'm sure that, like me, you guys also miss making music together in person, and I look forward to that. You know, uh, Hopefully at the beginning of this coming season. So go ahead and register, get it done. Maybe open your calendar and create a little appointment for yourself. MYS registration. Go to the website and do it. The other announcement here is about our virtual performances. I know Paloma is watching, and you also received an email about this. Vivaldi Strings are going to be recording a piece by young composer Andrew Kim, which I'm super excited about. And the music is on the library, MYS library. And Mr. Payton, would you mind telling the group about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, guys, so we're going to be recording the waltz from Sleeping Beauty. So you guys have that music. It's a great piece. It's going to work. Everyone gets to participate. So you've got that, and you know how to find recordings for that. And so we'll be talking about that later. We'll be getting started on music preparation very soon.
Yes.
So please check out, if you didn't get music in your folder, just know that the music's up on the MYS library, and you can download it there. And I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. And again, you go to our website, go to the online library, and just look at your email that you got from us about it. The password is there for the music library, and you can download your parts and look at your part assignment if you need to have a reminder of what your part is for both Vivaldi strings and for concert orchestra. Okay, so now we have not one but two of you, and this is very exciting. So thank you again. As many of you guys know, both Mr. Payton and Miss Payton are professional psychologists. They're trained psychologists. And Liz, I understand you did your master's in on performance anxiety and stage fright, and that's our topic today.
Great. Yes, my thesis.
Yes.
Was performance anxiety.
Yes, and I think this is a great topic, first of all. So thank you for bringing this to us. And stage fright and performance anxiety is something that, to some extent, we all deal with as performers. I think it's normal to be nervous and to have those nerves affect your performance in different ways. But it's scary, right? The thought about performing, getting nervous, and so why is it scary? And I mean, what exactly is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, one thing I was going to point out is that often people think I'm the only one who has stage fright. There's something wrong with me. It's something about me as a musician. And I want to sort of throw the doors open on that and report that I don't believe there are any musicians who have never experienced stage fright. I think it's pretty universal. Some of us keep it buttoned up better than others. But one reason that it's fairly universal is because it really plays into how invested we are. The more you care, the more you want to do well, the more you feel like it's a disaster if you don't. So a vicious circle can be created. It's part of our evolutionary history that if you put yourself out there and take a risk, that in the caveman mentality, you might not survive. You might get eaten. And so when you're isolated from the group and putting yourself out there, that's a big risk to take. And I just wanted to reflect back that if you have had the experience of performance anxiety, it's completely normal. So I wanted to see, you had said something about the caveman mentality, and I wanted to...
Yeah, this is really... So anxiety is such an interesting thing because it's really helpful, and it's kind of a radar that we have that tunes into potential danger, right? So I like to think of the caveman mind. What was the caveman mind worried about having happen? Well, you got to be careful for the stuff when the stuff rustles in the bushes. Is it something to eat, or is it something that's going to eat you? Right? We don't know. So we're just anxious about it, and it might be something good, and it might be something bad. sometimes there's a way that we have a history. So say you're a caveman, cave person, and you're going to your watering hole, and you get jumped by a tiger, right? Scare you, run, and you make it out. The next time you go to that watering hole, you're going to be anxious. You remember that there was something there that was super scary. And so we have this way of remembering stuff that may have been initially maybe frightening or initially kind of uncertain. And when we encounter something that's similar, we remember it. And when we talk about performance anxiety as musicians, one of the things we're trying to do is to unhook from this feedback loop of, because I was nervous last time, I'm going to be nervous the next time. And that kind of gets us all wound up. Yeah. So I'm so glad we have it. It keeps us from stepping in front of traffic. It keeps us from getting eaten by tigers. But our scales are not dangerous.
Yeah.
Beethoven is not dangerous.
Yeah. So, in my experience, sometimes when I'm nervous, I feel like that comes from the feeling that people are judging me when I'm on stage. How do we deal with that?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, the relationship part. What's the, being, maybe we're feeling judged, we're feeling like we're being evaluated.
Yeah. And largely, I'm just winging it here. A lot of times, what is happening is that when you get a little bit of adrenaline in your system, you get tunnel vision. So neurologically, what's happening is that your field of vision restricts. Maybe your stomach gets upset. I was going to open it up to I can't see the comments box.
Yeah.
But maybe kids could list 3 things that happen to them when they get stage fright.
Yes, I love that. Let me put that prompt up on the comments. And you guys, we want this session to be pretty participative. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Did I just make up a word?
Yeah.
So go ahead and type in the comments 3. How did you frame it just now?
When you feel performance anxiety or nervousness or stage fright, what do you feel?
What is happening in your body?
In your body. Yeah.
So 3 things that happen to you physically.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And for the musicians, just so you know, and I meant to say this at the beginning, 2 thoughts. We can't see you, right? You can see us. We can't see you, so you interacting with the comments is super helpful for us. So feel free to throw out questions as we're going. Say, yeah, that sounds great, or I don't understand this. Peyton's, can you clarify that? The second thing is that you guys know Mrs. Peyton and I pretty well, but when we're standing on the podium or we're teaching a lesson, we don't get a chance to have this kind of interaction because we're focused on other things. So that's why we're taking the time last week and this week to talk about this stuff, because it supports all the other work we do. Yeah. So let me back and forth. That's super awesome. We get super excited when we hear from you. So please do.
Yes.
And we have a bunch of great answers coming in, actually. So sweaty hands, a few people are saying, getting kind of jumpy, get shaky, butterflies in the stomach, lightheaded, shaky bow hand, blurred vision. These are all great. I mean, I've experienced all of those. So you guys
I think
are.
you get tummy stuff.
Yeah, butterflies. Yeah.
I'm going to show them this.
So I realized this morning, thinking of it, that there's a really great, I don't even know what to call it, a representation of what our nervous system looks like. And I realized that there's an overlap with what that looks like and what it feels like as a musician with performance anxiety. There's something called a sensory motor homunculus, and that is a depiction of the size and proportion of your body parts of what is controlled by your brain. For instance, our face gets most...
Yeah, when you get anxious,
we're going to show you.
And it looks like this.
It looks like this. It's a very silly picture.
Oh, whoa, okay. Yeah.
So you feel like you're a disembodied head, and your hands are operating, but you're not aware of what else is happening in your body when you're when you have a lot of anxiety. So you're probably not breathing. You're probably not noticing how your feet contact the floor, or if you're sitting, how your butt contacts the seat. You're probably not aware of your core supporting your shoulders as a string player. you may not be aware of the smells in the room, or if there's a breeze or any kind of tactile information, that all of that is being screened out. So you're in this little tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the best ways to work effectively with stage fright is to work on getting back in your body. And we have a lot of suggestions for how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to expand your awareness out from the tunnel to be more encompassing of what's happening outside of your little sensory motor tunnel there.
Yeah. So were there any other comment? What else did people experience? What are some other...
Somebody is saying they don't experience performance anxiety as much, but their fingers and feet seem to lose heat and become
they get
cold almost.
It's called vasoconstriction, and in order to survive, your blood vessels close down and just go to your large running muscles so that you can run. So that's literally a holdover from escaping the tiger at the watering hole.
Right, and so this is a situation that often creates physical tension. Then, right.
Yeah.
So how can we deal with that? And are there any specific, things we can do to say avoid our fingers getting cold, or how do we go about dealing with that physically?
Well, I wanted to address 3 large areas. So when we're talking about working effectively with stage fright, we're not talking about combating it or getting rid of it. We're talking about developing skills around getting curious about it, surfing with it, playing with it, dancing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the part that is, I think, the real core of why we get stage fright, and I had taken a little bit of notes on here. The biggest reason why we get closed down, nervous, afraid, is that, when we're really focused on the outcome. We showed up, we practiced, maybe we spent some money to be there. The older you get, the more you're flying across the country to take auditions. You're really invested. You've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of lessons, a lot of, just putting yourself through the paces.
Mom and dad
are really counting on you.
Mm-hmm.
Your audience is counting on you, and you're there, and you're really focused on the outcome. And the thing is, we don't have any control over any of that. And so, of course, it's really distressing to realize I don't have control over how the outcome comes. But what we're maybe missing, again, in the tunnel, is that we do have a lot of ability to play with the parts that aren't the outcome. And so building our experience of what we don't have control of, and then developing a feeling of playfulness somehow with the part that is out of our control, so that it doesn't feel so devastating if we don't get what we wanted out of the situation. So I think it's really helpful to develop a toolkit and to practice it when you're not in the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
That is an important part of a musician's toolkit, is to build a relationship with what are my go-to activities in my day-to-day life. What are things I'm specifically practicing in the practice room? And how do I practice dealing with my human organism? How do I build skills around there? So there's like 3 big buckets that you can come up with your own little list of this works well for me, this works well for me. So just as some people get a tummy thing or some people get hands thing, you'll develop this skill over time, much like you practice your instrument.
And can we dig a little deeper into each one of those 3 categories?
Yes.
And especially, like, for me, I always want to know concrete things that I can do or things that I can practice.
Absolutely. So I personally might take on the physical piece, that you want to look at that as 2 things. One is a lot of anxiety comes from physical tension in your playing that you haven't addressed. You might not even be aware of it. But if you've had your teacher say to you, or if you've received feedback in auditions about tension, I would really pay attention to that. And there are some really effective ways of working with that. And some of them may be in your teacher's wheelhouse, but some of them might be extracurricular kind of work that you're going to do. And I have 3 suggestions for modalities that really help with that. One is called the Alexander technique, and people have probably heard of that. Another is called the Feldenkrais technique, which has some similarities, but there's a little bit of difference, and I can describe the two. I'm not an expert at describing them, so I wanted to give you a little bit of difference. Alexander technique is a somatic education, body education method that teaches how to change faulty posture habits. Mm-hmm. And one of the foundational things to keep in mind is that you are very likely not aware of faulty postural habits. Mm-hmm. You need somebody to work with you so that you can trace it back to its source, address it. It's not body work like working out. It's an awareness strategy that's built to help our movements be more efficient and more relaxed. And so everybody's playing, whether you're a string player or a wind player, everybody's playing can benefit from this. So Alexander technique focuses largely on eliminating unnecessary tension. That helps your sound. That helps your facility. Feldenkrais is a similar but different education method, and it uses gentle movement and guided attention to help you learn more effective ways of moving, and it talks to your nervous system so that your movements are more enhanced and you're more aware of what you're doing. We are really fortunate that here in Portland we have a professional violinist, the concertmaster of the Portland Opera. He's a Feldenkrais practitioner, so we can make that information available if that
that'd be great.
Somebody who is a really great violinist and a Feldenkrais practitioner. She does workshops. So,
and that's Krais, yes,
Feldenkrais. Feldenkrais.
You know, I'll offer that one of my favorite classes I took during my doctorate studies was an Alexander technique class.
Yeah.
And I wished I had taken that class during my undergrad or earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not as familiar with Feldenkrais, so I'm looking forward to learning more.
Yeah, but if you're enhancing how you move, you're enhancing your sound, and your technique you can get more out of your technique with less work, which is, you're removing interferences, so if we think in terms of performance as potential minus interference. So we're removing interference so that the real you can shine through. There's a third method that is not as well known. It's called body mapping. I believe it's relatively new. It's been around for maybe a couple of decades. And this is another somatics field. Musicians have really taken to it because it's very, very helpful. It focuses on developing an accurate representation in your mind of how your body is constructed and how the joints move. So, for instance, if you I say this to my students all the time, this is a basic body mapping. String students, you ask them, where does your arm start? And almost everyone will say, oh, it starts here. This is not the case. The arm actually starts here. And if you were moving your arm around so that you can see your collarbone, you can see that when you move your arm, your collarbone moves. Right. So basic education like that. What does a hip look like? What does a finger look like? Your fingers start here. So when you have a better sense of how your body actually works, that can really enhance your physical comfort and ease, and in turn eliminate some tension in your.
Yeah, you know what that reminds me of, and this Alexander technique class that I was telling you about. Maybe the first class, the teacher gave all of us just a blank piece of paper and a pencil, and she said, "Everybody draw a skeleton,
yes,
from memory."
Yes.
And it was ridiculous. Like mine looked like some kind of monster. I was really not aware of how unaware I was.
Right. Violinists think, oh, my shoulder blade, it's this big. It's actually about the size of a chicken wing. I mean, the parts that we're dealing with every day as athletes of the small muscles and bones, if we don't know what they look like, we're probably fighting against them. We're not using them right. So,
I would challenge all of our students watching to try and draw a skeleton from memory.
Yeah.
So,
and send them to us. We would love to see them.
And then compare it to and afterwards look one up and compare it.
Put it up on the fridge before and after.
Yeah.
On that topic, there's a really fantastic book that there are some available on Amazon. It's not a super well published book. I think it's self-published. But if you're interested in body mapping and the body part, there's a book, and violinists and violists can both use this. I think you could probably benefit from it as a cellist also. It's called What Every Violinist Needs to Know About the Body. And it's a total game changer.
Mm-hmm.
The author's name is Jennifer Johnston. Johnson or Johnston? It's over there. I think I took it off the shelf.
Yeah.
What every
Probably.
violinist
Yes,
needs to know about their body.
Yeah.
Cool.
For example, guys, I don't know if you have noticed this on a really experiential level. You guys, when you play, your body is not symmetrical. What you're doing is asymmetrical. So one part of your body is doing one thing and another part of your body is doing it, and they're operating hopefully in tandem, but they're very, very different functions. Same for cellists, yeah? And so just even being aware that that's happening on a skeleton level, because I guarantee you're fighting that, even though you don't know you're fighting it. You're wrestling with the fact that it feels somehow awkward, or somehow there's stress in there. So we're trying to get all that to settle. The other thing I would add to everything that Liz said, which is all awesome, is I'm curious if you guys actually know what it feels like to be genuinely physically without tension. Have you actually gone through, do you know what your body feels like when it's actually not relaxed, but without tension? Because you could say, yeah, I know what it feels like to be relaxed because I watched Netflix for 12 hours yesterday. Yeah, but you were curled up in a ball on your bed or with your arms over the couch and you were tense while you were relaxing, yeah? So let's do this together. Get in a position where you're not going to hurt anybody. And I want you to do what you can to tense up every muscle in your body all at the same time, including your face.
Are we sitting or standing? Does it matter?
You can sit or stand, but just think about if you could take all the muscles in your body and constrict them all at the same time. And I'm going to do it with you, and I'm going to look really funny, so don't laugh. Ready? Here we go. Tight. Tighter. Tighter. And let it go. Yeah?
Yeah.
If you do that a few times, you'll be like, oh, wow, there's a lot going on in this body, muscle, skeleton, yeah? Yeah. So there's value in practicing what does it feel like to actively release tension so we know what our baseline is. Like, here's another one I like. Put your shoulders up towards your ears. Don't hurt yourself, but put your shoulders up towards your ears. And then just let them come all the way down. Actually hang. And have them go up again. And let them come all the way down. And actually hang in a where you're not doing anything with them. Let them rest on the skeleton itself. Yeah. There's a bunch of others that we could do together. But getting to know your body, and I know that some of you grew like 6 inches this year, so there's a lot more to get acquainted with. Yeah. And it feels weird, and it's like, I don't know how this thing works. But this is part of it, yeah, because there's hidden tension that shows up when we start to get anxious and we start to get that constricted feeling because it matters, because I don't want Mr. Gomez or Mr. Payton to yell at me for missing an entrance, or, oh my God, Mom brought out the video camera for my recital and she's like 3 feet from me and now I'm stressed, nervous, anxious, yeah? So how do we relax in the midst of all that? So it's helpful to know what relaxed without tension actually feels like. Make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it gets, like, unless you're actively taking care of this over time, like, if you don't, it just kind of gets worse with age. I mean,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
true?
Oh, it absolutely does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, because every time you go to the water hole,
Mhm.
you're scared of it. It reinforces over time.
Yeah, but just also just overall tension and posture problems and I mean, I'm dealing with that right now, and like most of my work now is here. I'm sitting here at this desk all day, right?
Hmm.
And I'm moving around less, and I find that sometimes to just kind of like when I lay on the carpet on the floor with my back, you just and I try to relax. It's just I just feel all kinds of like things that are clearly not where they
Yeah.
should be.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So, yes, and so in terms of physical things that you can do, I wanted to actually give all your students an exercise that is really helpful for building a looser sense of control. So the part of the performance that you can't control is where we wind up getting hung up. There are things you can do to practice a looser sense of playing with it. Before I say that, I do actually, it's important to remember to tell everybody that because you are an athlete of these small muscles, we need to take care of the big muscles too. And as you're saying, these aches and pains, they creep in, they actually change our playing. So do what you need to do to take care of your body. You want to be doing exercises that involve the big muscles so that you are burning the extra adrenaline that's in your system.
Running away muscles.
Yeah. So, maybe that looks like running. Maybe that looks like you have a dance practice. Maybe you're a swimmer or whatever you do, but you want to get your heart rate up most days and also attend to stretching. And in particular for string players, it's very important to make sure that you are doing stretches that open your front of your chest wall. So that might look like you're lying on a roller, or maybe you have something where you have, something like this that improves the strength of your back muscles, because we are really focused on working forward all the time. So cardiovascular and stretching and back strengthening will all help you out. So a great practice, I wanted to give you something that you can practically do to start working with stage fright. And it's a good idea to just maintain this practice. But to begin with, pick a piece, maybe something short, maybe like a one-page piece that is not super hard for you to play, something you played a couple of years ago maybe. And it's going to be something that's low difficulty, but high energy. So something that's fast. Maybe it's an etude even. It doesn't really matter. But something where you're going to play a lot and move a lot. And then you're going to put it on the stand. You're going to tune your instrument. And then if you're a person who feels comfortable going outside, run around your block. Or maybe do jumping jacks for a couple minutes. But get your heart rate really, really high. And then grab your instrument and just play through the piece. Oh, I forgot to mention, record yourself. So put your phone on, record yourself playing, and just play like an idiot, because you're going to sound like it. You're going to be like, and then do it again. And do a round of 3. And if you can do it twice a day, that's really excellent. Here's the thing. You're going to make a recording each time, but you're not going to watch it.
Okay.
You're not going to watch it. Just save it, and then do it the next day. And I'd like you to do maybe 20 passes. Maybe a week goes by. And you're going to have a group of 3, another group of 3 the next day, another group, and so you'll accumulate a portfolio of about maybe 20 recordings where you get your heart rate really high, you play your piece, you sound terrible, and you're fine with it. Then at the end of the week, I'd like you to go back and press play and just go through each one. And you're going to see that you've actually become much better over the course of the week at playing with your heart rate up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just your heart rate, maybe your tummy, all that. We're basically mimicking the effects of stage fright with a low risk environment. And you're building the skill of dancing with it. And just get curious about what happens and continue doing it. If you like the results, keep doing it. You're going to get better and better at it. Change your piece out, maybe after a week or so. And then you can start, when you start to get like really, really skilled, just start putting your current piece up there and see what happens. And build that sense of lower your standards, raise your heart rate. And see what that's a good way of playing with it.
T-shirt slogan.
Yeah. Lower your standards.
I have a question for the students, with Mrs. Payton mentioning that. Can you share with us in the comments, are you more nervous in orchestra, in lessons, or in playing solo pieces like for recital? Where are you most anxious? Is it playing for your teacher? Is it playing for solo recital, solo and ensemble, that kind of thing, or is it playing in orchestra?
Okay, I'm gonna put that question on the comments right now. Playing for your teacher, solo performances, or 3 orchestra
Let's add a
performances.
fourth one.
Yes.
Someplace where you're being evaluated. Maybe it's juries. Maybe it's
Auditions.
contest.
Yeah, auditions. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're thinking about making your recording for the MYS audition. Yeah. How does that rank? How do you? Because maybe that would be a really great place for us to practice this, real world experience. How do we take all that you're learning today and attend a focus on the MYS audition?
Yeah, and I think for the purpose of this, solo performances includes like playing with a piano, right? Like sort of like playing your rep in public.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're getting a bunch of answers in. I see a trend towards solo performances, solo pieces, solo recitals, solos, especially in auditions.
So for those of you who wrote that, what is it about playing in orchestra that makes it feel more comfortable, supportive, less of an anxious environment? What is it about playing in orchestra that changes the stakes somehow?
Yeah, how is it playing orchestra different? Yeah, that's a great question, and I guess I'll share that. There was a time during my like maybe junior senior year of college that I was actually getting more nervous playing an orchestra than I was playing solo stuff. And in my particular case, I felt like I don't know, and it's so personal, right? So individual, but I think I felt like an orchestra, like there were a bunch more people who were depending on my performance for the success of their performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm playing by myself, if I mess up, it's just me.
Yeah.
So, but that was my experience during basically a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me share a couple more answers here for you. So, and these are answers to the question, how is playing an orchestra different, right? Somebody says it's harder to get noticed for mistakes you make. I'm not the only one playing, so I feel less pressure. Orchestra makes me feel as a leader and part of a team at the same time. I feel supported playing with a group of people. There are more people around you. Yes, your team will support you if you mess up. So those are some answers we have coming in.
Yeah. And you guys have you've cued into something that I think is really helpful to keep in mind, and we'll both share a couple thoughts on this. One of the biggest things that I think leads to the sense of feeling anxious is that we're feeling judged when we play, and we judge ourselves. And so there's a comparing thing that happens, and there's 2 kinds of comparing. Well, 3 kinds of comparing. One is, I'm playing this way. I should be better than I used to be. What's wrong with me? And I want to be better than I am now. And so I'm frustrated with where I am now. And so we get nervous and kind of all caught up in that, comparing to our old self and to where we want to be. And the second is that we just inherently feel like we're being judged. We're in the spotlight. We're going to mess up and be embarrassed. And so there's something about, we talked about this last week, of kind of reclaiming why you play. And that it is this process, that it is this journey of developing skill, and it's a learning thing. And we do it because doing it feels good. And the thing about orchestra, and I'll let Mrs. Payton talk about the gift part. But there's something about, and we've talked about this in concert orchestra. I don't know if you remember, guys, when we did our concert at the Newmark, I led you guys through a thought, which is, remember that everyone next to you wishes you well. Remember that everyone in the audience wishes you well. Remember that I wish you well. We're all here to relax into the fact that we're all here for the same thing. No one's judging anybody. Yeah, but we think they are. We get this worry that if we screw up, someone's going to be mad at us, or someone's going to not like us, or we're going to get kicked out of our group, or whatever, right? And so how do we kind of separate out that piece of feeling judged, evaluated? And you have a great approach to that, how to shift our mindset from feeling judged to gratitude, right?
Yes. Well, the main thing that I find really helpful is to remember that performing is something that happens in relationship. You don't get stage fright in a practice room by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do, then, maybe it's time to get out of your practice room more. But this is about a relationship that you have. And I really like what I didn't know that you had done that. And that is a really beautiful way of expressing it. That when you get up and you play, if you can shift your experience of, you're primarily focused on yourself. You're like, I'm going to be judged. I'm nervous. I'm not good enough. Whatever the particular automatic thoughts that you have, if you can say, okay, yes, and, you don't have to talk yourself out of it. You can include more information, which is that you are also giving a gift. So offering your playing as a gift to whoever's there. It may be that they're strangers, but they're all somebody's mom, somebody's sister, somebody's uncle in your audience. And finding a way to connect with, this is a gift from your heart to your listener. I think a second way, I wasn't going to, I was just going to give you that one exercise with the running around the block, but I'm going to give you a second exercise, which is this time that we're in, this weird thing that we're going through, is actually a perfect little platform for experimenting with building that sense of generosity, giving as a way of performing. You can go out on your porch and play for your neighbors in the same way that people go out on their porch at 7 o'clock every night and clap for the doctors and the nurses and the support people who are helping all of us. You can go out and play for your neighbors. You can play your instrument for the doctors. And that's something that you can do to give. So focus on giving from your heart, and you will find that the nerves become relatively unimportant. Another thing that you can do, and I highly recommend this, is to make a little Zoom concert for people who have no musical expertise at all. You all have grandparents, you all have cousins, you all have, friends across the country. Take your piece that you're working on and Zoom your friends and family and just say, I just wanted to make a little music for you. You don't even have to make it anything like, I'm trying to get over stage fright. You can just be like, I have this little present for you. This is what I've got. I can't go out shopping to the mall, but for your birthday, I can play Happy Birthday. Do that often. Do it every day. And again, it's a great opportunity to, you can record yourself, don't watch it for a while, come back, and you'll see your skill level with working with this getting better and better over time.
Yeah. Can I add something to that?
Please.
Yes, do that, and don't apologize.
Don't apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just I just started working on this. So, I'm sorry, I messed up a lot. Don't apologize. So let me share with you that for the last couple of years, I've been learning woodworking.
Oh, yeah.
And I've done this just through online. There's one specific person that I follow. His name is Steve Ramsey. He has his channel is Woodworking for Mere Mortals. And the approach is, you don't have to have thousands of dollars of tools to start your journey in woodworking. And I've made a bunch of things following his he has a course that I paid for, whatever. But one of the things he talks about is when people come to your house and you show them I made a coffee table, they're gonna be impressed. They're gonna be like, oh my god, you made that. But then don't start being like, yeah, I made it, but I messed up here, I messed up there, I didn't sand it well on this side. They're not gonna see that unless you tell them.
Yeah, unless you point out the flaws.
Right. So I feel like what you're saying is exactly the same. Give your gift of music in this particular thing you're describing, a Zoom concert to your uncle, to your grandmother, or whatever, and just give.
Yeah.
Don't apologize. So I just thought of that when you said that.
And from a social distancing perspective, it's completely safe to take your instrument and go outside on a sunny day and walk down the street to your neighbor's house and play under their window.
Mhm.
And that also gets to another thing, which is a really good way to make sure that you are exposing yourself to different sound environments. Sometimes people get rattled in performance simply because they're playing in a new environment and it sounds different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, your sound is not like it is in your practice room at home.
Mm-hmm.
So change up your setting often is another skill that you can do to dance with it. I always make my students before a recital, I say you have to play in 3 places that are not inside your house. And at least one of them has to be outside.
Like your front yard.
Your front yard. Go stand in your backyard if you're too shy to stand in your front yard.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But you need a different sound environment and then adjust to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then get that experience of changing. So that doesn't mean play in your bedroom and then move to your kitchen. It means go outside, go in your garage, go, find some, go to the park, someplace different.
Yeah.
So you hear yourself in different environments and it becomes much more normal to hear yourself in a new environment.
One of the parts of that, guys, is that we don't know that it's happening, but we fall into habits that live within our comfort zone. And so you tend to play the piece that you sound good on. You tend to practice the part that you like. You tend to play in the room that feels most comfortable. And one of the challenges we have when we move to performance is that many of those things change. It's a different room. There's people there. You're wearing uncomfortable clothes. This is why we could make you guys
There's a piano.
play in your dress concert,
Yeah.
Concert dress. So what you're trying to do is to expand out of your comfort zone, not in a place where you're freaking out, but you're playing, you're surfing this feeling of, wow, this is really different. And then just like Mrs. Payton said about like recording yourself playing fast with your heart racing, then it becomes more tolerable. And a big part of performance is to tolerate the momentary discomfort of feeling nervous and getting and play and staying connected to the stuff that really matters, that you play beautifully, that you have a gift that you're offering, that you remember the confidence that you developed through your effort, right? Rather than feeling like there's something wrong. Oh, I'm feeling nervous. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have any personal experiences as performers where you had like significant performance anxiety and you somehow got through it?
Yeah, I have a good one. Schnitzer Concert Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I won the concerto competition with PYP. I was 19. And this is actually the preparation part it connects with that. So I was playing a marimba concerto, first percussionist to ever play a concerto with PYP. So that was super exciting. So there's also a lot of pressure. It's like, oh my God, this has got to be really. I wasn't nervous beforehand too bad. And also there's only one concert, so you only get one shot, right? I did it from memory, which you should. So I'm playing, and what this experience was is I was having a really good time, and the last 5 pages are super fast, and there's just a lot of notes. And I remember getting that tunnel vision thing, and I kind of just blanked out, and my hands kept playing.
This was at the concert.
In the concert.
Yeah, okay.
In the concert. Sold out, full house, the whole ball of wax. You're playing. It's the big finish, and I'm watching my hands play. I'm not there. Yeah. But a couple of things had happened that I think helped me a lot, which is that how I prepared, this muscle memory thing we talked about last time, how I prepared let me kind of surf over that momentary, just like, oh man, whatever that was. And I got through it, and I listened to the recording, and you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell. It was really it went great. So that's was a very important lesson for me, that the preparation allows us to, not have that unnecessary churning of, oh my God, I'm not ready. And then if something does kind of float up, the heart rate goes and the body thinks it's in fight or flight, that we can kind of surf over that and we get through it and it's okay. It doesn't have to be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. I did mean to mention before, another source of stage fright is often people think they're prepared and they're really not. And your body knows the score. So your brain is marching ahead saying, I'm ready, but your body knows, you're not real confident about that shift on page 3. I'm hoping that my bow does the right thing on page 2, but I can't count on it. That is a leading contributor to stage fright that musicians specifically should address. So I just wanted to point that out. Be really sure that you actually are prepared. And give yourself the space. If you know you're not prepared, maybe take a look at that the next time around. Start earlier with your practice. Mm-hmm. Take an extra lesson on spiccato. Just plan your workflow over a long period of time instead of everything has to happen at the end. Don't procrastinate on your performance. And, think in terms of, if it's a concerto, a pretty reasonable amount of time to spend on each bar. Let's say you have a concerto that's 200 measures. You have a movement that's maybe 200 bars. Plan on spending about 3 hours of time on each measure, and you're going to feel really, really, really set so that your hands can take over if you have a little moment. Don't think in terms of, I have 3 weeks to get this concerto movement together. That's not enough time. Mm-hmm. And your nervous system will know it when you get up on stage.
Yeah, there's
sorry. With that said, I also want to make sure that when you stand on a stage and you're about to play, remember your heart, remember that you're giving, and also give yourself a little bit of credit. You can only play as well as you play. You can't actually play better than you play.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
And it's okay. It's okay to be where you are. Life is long. Mm-hmm. Look at what you've done till now and just step in and accept it. Like, this is good. I have done good work, and it's going to be all right.
Yes, and there is no substitute for preparation. I mean,
There's no substitute.
You have to put in the work. I mean,
right.
And that idea reminds me of what Johannes Moser said on one of our hangouts. We're doing the MYS hangouts weekdays, and Johannes Moser was a guest on one of the shows, and he spoke about his approach to practicing and preparation. And I will put a link to that on the comments. If you missed it, you should watch it. And also, along the lines of this very last thing you were saying, Liz, about giving yourself a little credit and allow yourself to celebrate what you have achieved. Also, we had a conversation with Jennifer Arnold, violist, who was with the Oregon Symphony, and she shared about her relationship and we use the word failure, but it's not really, you're not failing, right? But her relationship with those auditions that she didn't win, right? Mm-hmm. Or those performances that didn't go as well, how you deal with that, but also how you acknowledge and celebrate the things that do go well. When you put in that hard work and then you have that payoff, and how important it is to recognize that and be kind to yourself and be happy about it.
And take that extra step to claim what you learned from it. And then it's all good.
Yeah. There's the rustling in the bushes of the tiger. It's not all about never go back to the watering hole. It's that you learn something. It's helpful to be attentive to things. It's helpful to be prepared. Maybe I'll take a different route to the watering hole next time. So just because we have what feels like a negative experience playing, or we have an experience that feels very uncomfortable, there's helpful feedback in there that we can still take on without judging ourselves for it, without beating ourselves up. This is super important, guys, because we only play as well as we play. And remember, you're in the midst of learning a long arc of preparation, and about yourself and about your body and about how we learn and so it's okay. Yeah. But so we can take that learning piece. It's like, oh, I need to not spend only a week learning the Bruch Concerto. Why didn't it go well? Well, there's some useful information in that experience. Yeah. So we can go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'll allow a little bit more time. Yeah.
So we have a question here, but Kira, would you mind rephrasing that question for me so I can forward it to Mr. and Mrs. Payton? If you could just, same question, just try a different way of asking it to make sure that I understand it. But in the meantime, there's a story I want to share, if you guys don't mind.
Please.
Please.
And this, it's about how, sometimes, things don't go as planned. And that's okay also. And this is one of my auditions that I took for my master's years ago. I auditioned in a bunch of schools. One of them was Eastman in Rochester, and I had played in master classes for Oleg Krisa, who was teaching there at the time. So I auditioned to study with him, but I had to get a scholarship. So I was auditioning for scholarship, and I've been preparing for months. You guys know how it is, and then I'm finally there. I'm in Rochester, all the way from Costa Rica, big trip, and I gathered like 3 days in advance, stayed with a friend, and I just tried to practice, get focused, right? So the day of the audition comes, and I'm doing many of these things that we're talking about, right? I'm trying to, be mindful, doing some physical things to stay relaxed, and mentally preparing for the audition. So it's finally time. I go into the room, and there's 3 or 4 Eastman string faculty sitting there. Oleg Krisa was one of them. They welcome me into the room. They're all very nice, and they say, okay, you can start with whatever you want to start. And I started playing my Bach, the Adagio from the first sonata. And things are going well. I'm feeling grounded. I'm breathing, and I'm thinking this is going well. I feel good. And then all of a sudden, maybe 30 seconds in, 45 seconds in, the door swings open of the studio, just slammed open the door, and in comes one of the violin professors who was just late. you know, just swung the door open with big noise, walked into the room, sat down, didn't say a word. I like jumped out of my skin. I almost dropped my violin. I stopped playing. It was really frightening.
Yeah.
And then they said, it's okay, just start again. It's fine. We apologize. But then after that, it just wasn't the same. I had that exactly that. It was really frightening, and it just didn't go well. It was not a good audition, and I just couldn't get myself back into the zone, and then of course I was disappointed after that. But looking back, I think what I learned from that experience is that, hey, sometimes things happen, and sometimes things are out of your control. And as disappointing as it may be, you'll be fine. So that's my sort of like little crazy audition story. So Kira has rephrased her question. If there are past experiences where you have been judged from your playing, how do you not let that get into, or how do you not let that get to you in later performances?
Mm-hmm. Great question, Kira. I think it's helpful to keep in mind that you did the best you could in that moment, and there really is this process of keeping in mind that we're learning. And if someone's judging your playing in a critical way, as Miss Payton said, we can only play as well as we play. We only play as well as we play in that moment. And sometimes there's a real disconnect between our desire to do well and what happens, or our desire to feel acknowledged and appreciated, and maybe we get judged, or someone says something that's not very nice to us, or they're critical. Yeah. So this is a process of learning for sure, and though it doesn't diminish that those are uncomfortable, painful experiences. Yeah, and what helps, I think, is to develop tools so that as we continue to play your instrument, as you continue to play music because you love music, you have a bigger and bigger toolkit to navigate the preparation, navigate the actual performance, and then particularly navigate how you think about how all of this goes.
Yeah.
You have a better context to put it all in. And so what we're talking about today is a few more tools for your tool belt. Yeah?
That's an excellent question. Thank you, Kira.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
we have time for about one more question, if anybody has one, or any final thoughts from you guys before we wrap up.
Mm. A 15-second bumper sticker. I want you to burn this thought into your mind, and it's 3 words. Find your feet. Anytime you're nervous, anytime you're anxious, anytime you're feeling a little bit distressed, find your feet and actually feel your feet on the floor. Remember the homunculus with the big hands and the right? The feet are very tiny. Find your feet.
Do you still have that image?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
we see it again?
You can see one. You can Google
You can spell it.
sensory motor homunculus. And that's an example. There are many
See how
examples.
tiny those feet are?
Yeah.
So it gets us back on the ground.
Cool.
Yeah. That's that.
You knocked it right out of my head with the sensory motor.
Well, I would like to.
Oh, I know. I have my final thought.
Yes.
Assemble your toolkit at home. Don't
Yes.
wait for performance. It should be part of your daily practice to put yourself under a little bit of pressure and dance with it.
Yes, and I think
A little bit of pressure.
students watching this from Vivaldi Strings and Concert Orchestra certainly are now in a point in their musical growth where they can more actively and consciously think about these things and create their toolkit and put in the work. So
Hold your toolkit as part of your routine daily practice should incorporate how to be when you're on the spot.
yes. Well, thank you both so much. This was super fun for me and very informative, and I'm sure that we all learned from it. Thank you for your time and your generosity in sharing all of this with our students.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we'll get to some music soon, guys. I know you're being very patient with not getting to do music together. Hang in there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, thank you both. I'll talk to you guys later, and everybody else watching, thank you for watching. Feel free to stick around for the next session if you want about online tools for practicing with Rich Littledyke from Concert Band. So, bye everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hello. Yes, welcome. This is our 11:30 a.m. session for Interlude Orchestra, winds, brass, and percussion, and concert band. And right now, what you see on the screen is a few slides we're going to show, and just our previous session, you see Mr. Payton and Mrs. Payton. But let's go ahead and call Mr. Littledyke in to get things going right away. Okay. And just a moment. All right, here we go. Okay, we're calling Mr. Littledyke right now.
Hello.
Mr. Littledyke, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can hear you, but I cannot see you yet.
Give me just a second. I'm trying to get my headphones to work.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, while we finish setting this up, I have a few announcements for everybody watching. Oh, there you are.
There.
Good to see you.
Yeah, same here.
So, if it's okay with you, I'm going to take a couple of minutes for a couple of things with everybody while you're watching. Okay, so it's great to have you all online. A bunch of you are watching. This is awesome. Mr. Littledyke has prepared a session on technology and music, and we have a slideshow we're going to be showing that's up on the screen already. But before we start, I do have a few announcements for all of you watching, okay? The first one is that I finally figured out how to delete comments and how to put people on timeout or to ban people if your comments are not relevant to the session. Okay, so I finally figured out, and I will have no mercy. Okay, so please take advantage of this opportunity to learn from Mr. Littledyke for you guys in Interlude Orchestra and Concert Band, and keep the we do want you to participate. Okay, we want you to participate. We want you to ask questions, but please keep the comments relevant to the session. Okay, and I will just delete comments that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. So that's my first announcement, just straight out of the bat, because I just want everybody to keep that in mind. Number 2, registration is open for next year for MYS. Okay, you received an email about this a couple of days ago, I think on Wednesday. So go to the MYS website, playmys.org, and register for next year. You can do that after this session. Just get it out of the way, get registered. And because of current restrictions on gatherings, all auditions, all of your ensemble placement auditions will be done via video this year. Okay, so we will not have live auditions as we normally do. And once you register, you're going to receive instructions to create and submit your audition video. Okay, and audition videos can be sent starting on June 1st all the way to August 14, I believe. Okay, so what I recommend you do is register now. Yes, today, tomorrow. Put it on your calendar. It takes very little time. Get it done. Register, and then you'll get the instructions to send your audition video. Okay, and this is, for us conductors, a bit of bad news, but for you guys, probably good news, because we're doing auditions by video that you will record at home. There will be no sight reading this year. Okay, so I'm sure you're happy about that. Not so happy about it, but it's okay. But we want you all back, so get registered. Okay, get registered as soon as you can. Just get it done. Okay, number 3, our virtual performances. You also received an email about specific to your group about which piece you guys are going to be doing for your virtual performances. This means that over the next few weeks you're going to practice your part, and you're going to record yourself. You're going to record a video of yourself playing your part, and then we will put all of those together to create a virtual performance for your ensemble. Interlude Orchestra will be recording Phantom of the Opera, and you received an email with a link to the MYS library. And Concert Band, and Mr. Littledyke, you can expand on this if you want, but I believe you guys are going to be recording Darklands March?
That's correct.
Yeah. And is this something that was originally part of the repertoire for this term?
Yeah, we handed that out a while ago. There may be 1 or 2 people that maybe didn't get that one yet, but then it is all online. And I can even work with you guys to try to get that in the hands of kids too somehow.
Excellent. Okay. And yeah, it's all online, and you guys can go ahead and get your parts now, and we're going to be sending out click tracks and instructions later. Okay. Good. And that's it. That's all I got. So, Mr. Littledyke, I have the slides up on the screen, and it's all yours.
All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate you mentioning that about the comments too, because now that everything's online, it's kind of a reminder of what is our digital citizenship too, and how do we keep ourselves safe and other people safe too.
Yes.
I really appreciate that, because I think, especially when we're working with other adults and teachers, and we're on webcams and forgetting that our microphone's on and our camera's always on, that we got to be really diligent in what we're doing online. So for anybody in the comment section or anybody, watching this, just be cautious that what you put online usually stays online too. It doesn't just vanish just because you don't see it anymore. I did want to talk a little bit about technology and just how I found it useful for myself and how other people found it useful learning music, especially when we're going to be doing this individually, recording your part to a click track or to a metronome. How do you do that effectively and make the whole thing sound pretty good? So I want to give you some tips and things that I've been doing that I found useful. So the first thing on the next slide that I included are just some basics that I think most people already know how to do or know how to use. But I want to give some specifics on how I use them. The first one is YouTube. So YouTube is a huge resource, not only just to watch cat videos or learn how OK Go destroys all their instruments that they play with, but it's been really useful. One, I can look at tons of music that I didn't even know was available to me because publishers will always put their music online. So, for example, Darkland's March that we're playing for concert band is online. And what the composer, Randall Sandbridge, did is he has a score so you can see all of the parts playing at the same time. That way, for me as a saxophone player, if I'm not really sure how my part fits in, or I don't know if my dynamic is really supposed to be forte there compared to the band, I can hear a professional group playing and kind of get an idea of what it's supposed to sound like without having the band here. So that's one big thing that's been useful. Two, this is how I learned how to do just about anything that I can't learn from a human in front of me. For example, this is how I learned how to change violin strings. I never knew how to do it before because I never had a violin teacher, being a non-violin player. Once I had to teach violin, that's where I went to, is YouTube, because they have experts that will do this for free, and they'll show you really close up. So if you maybe don't know how to grease your trombone slide, there are teachers on there that will give you a lesson how to do it who've been doing it for 20 years and teach a lot better than anybody else. So that's the other one. The final one, and maybe you already know this, you probably do, but if not, new information, if you haven't seen it, it's new to you, is the playback speed. So I wonder if in the comments, if you can maybe just either give a thumbs up or a yes, if you know that you can change the comment or the playback speed on a YouTube video. So for example, what I'm going to do, and hopefully it doesn't get a lot of feedback, I have Darkland's March loaded up, and I'm just going to play it at the normal speed. And Dr. Gomez, if this causes an issue with feedback or something, maybe you can let me know. But this is Darkland's March that's recorded on YouTube. Okay, so pretty professional recording and pretty spot on. Now, if that's too fast for me right now, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up with the click track. So I need to slow this down and get this to my speed. If you go down to the setting bar, there's a 6-pronged gear. That when you click that, it'll come up with a couple options for autoplay, which means it'll just play the next video, annotations, which means it'll give you some notes about what it is, and then the third note is playback speed. So it's currently set to normal, which is how you're supposed to be, but if you go down to the 0.75, it will slow down the track this much. That feels like a pretty decent tempo, and then the pitch didn't change, so I don't have to adjust anything. There it is for me. Now, if that's too slow, maybe that's just not there. There is a customize. So if you go up to the top and hit custom, you can change it to maybe just 0.9% or 90% of the speed. Or if you feel like you want to flex a little bit and go a little extra, do 1.1. Speed it up a little bit. I've been in bands before where the conductor or even the band gets a little nervous and all of a sudden the tempo starts to speed up a little bit and I have to keep up with the conductor regardless. So it's not a bad idea to speed it up a little bit and see if you can still hold on. Next thing is the metronome and the tuner. So you always hear people saying, practice with the metronome, practice with the tuner, because it's solid advice. I don't know a musician who hasn't been very successful who hasn't used a tuner or a metronome. But then there's so many to use. Like you can go to a music store, there's probably dozens of these great tuners you can buy for $5 or $10. Or you go online and there are dozens of websites. I typed in metronome today and I found at least 3 or 4 that came up, and even tuners. And they're all pretty much the same. They're all work just fine. There is one app that I personally prefer. Oh, before I go on, I'm not being paid by any of these companies. I'm not getting any kind of sponsorship. It's just a program that really found useful for me. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the screen. It would be very small. I'm going to try to put my phone up to the camera.
Yes.
Just so you can see. Or, I don't know if you can make me bigger. Not that I need to be bigger on the screen.
You are now the whole screen.
Nice. Okay. So, the one I use is called Tonal Energy Tuner, or TE Tuner. Now, what I like about this program is that the first thing, and it didn't load up today, every time I load this up, it will tell me what my practice streak is. So it'll tell me how many days have I practiced so far, and then I can kind of keep like the competition with myself. Because I know if anybody's ever used Duolingo or you learn a new language, it keeps track of your streak. So if you have 14 days in a row, I'm more likely to hit that 15th day because I like keeping my record. Same thing here. It'll keep track of your practice days, and it'll tell you how long you expect or you were practicing that day. So you can set it saying, I want to be able to practice 10 minutes today. It will track 10 minutes worth of practice during that day.
What's it called again?
This is called Tonal Energy Tuner.
Tonal.
Yeah, and it's on the bottom. There are two icons that I included in the slides that are on the screens right now, or that were. It's the bottom one with the tuning fork.
Yeah, cool.
So what this does, we're going to see if I can do this with two hands. I'm limited. First thing, it's a great tuner. So if I just play a pitch, open the G. When I'm in tune, I get affirmation. A little smiley guy says, "Great job, you're in tune. That's wonderful."
Nice.
Here's the trick. I'm going to let you in on a secret. It has been told, and it has been said, that if you hold a certain pitch for a long time, you get the smiley guy lasting, eventually there will be fireworks that appear. Here's the secret. There's no actual fireworks. Band directors have been giving that secret for a long time, just so that you can keep the long tone. But then when the students do that, they realize, oh, my tone's so much better because I've been holding it for a long time.
Trade secret revealed.
Right. Take the secret for what it's worth. Now, what I also like about this app is not only does it show you the tuning, so it tells you the smiley guy if you're in tune. Down below, it gives you some specifics. So if you're playing a transposition or a transposing instrument, like a B flat, trumpet, clarinet, or bass clef or something, it will tell you what the concert pitch is that you're playing. So if you're playing a concert B flat, but it rings up as a C, it will show you what that pitch is. You can also transpose. So if you go in here and say, well, I played the B flat clarinet, I need to make sure this actually fits me, you can change that setting in here too, so that you're not freaking out like it's not the note I'm supposed to play. Then, my next favorite thing is metronome. It has a metronome included in here with dozens and dozens of features. I paid for a metronome one time, it cost about $3 or $4, and then they said, hey, do you want these extra cool features? Great, pay $3 more so you can have these cool features. This doesn't do that. While this app does cost about $5, it is easily the best $5 I've ever spent for any kind of music technology. Not joking on that at all.
Very cool.
$4
on the Play Store.
Oh, you saw 4? Perfect, even better.
Yeah.
But like I say, $4 to keep me motivated, to keep practicing and getting all the tools, absolutely worth it. I would recommend if you don't already use this, play with it. Change the settings, change the tempo, change the obnoxious sounds that you can make with all that great stuff. And that's enough of you. And then there's a lot of other things you can get really specific. So if you want to talk about just intonation or equal intonation, you can kind of experiment with that as well. I think options are pretty open at that point. And feel free, if you hear something, Dr. Goodman, you want to jump in and help me out with that, I would love that.
Yeah, of course. I was just remembering my first metronome was one of those like mechanical metronomes that, like.
Yeah, the old school pyramid.
Yeah, and some of those were
metal.
Yeah. Some of those were expensive too. Like So now we can get free stuff, or even like something that's cheap, like $4. It'll give you a huge amount of value and flexibility.
Right, you can keep it in your pocket. You don't have to pull a big old thing out of your backpack every day. On the next slide, something I wanted to show too. This is your continued learning. So if you're at home and you realize I've gotten to a point where I've covered everything my teachers wanted me to do, but I'm not really sure what to do next, and you can't get in contact with them, this could kind of help you in your own learning. I did mention in the comments a little bit about smart music. Smart music is, for my opinion, extremely beneficial, but also expensive. So there's also that cost balance that you have to work with. A lot of schools right now are giving it away for free because smart music realized that if kids are not at school, maybe it'd be useful to have to sit at home. And what smart music does, I can't demonstrate it right here, but it will show you the music, and Darklands March is on there. I can't speak for any of the other concert band or orchestra pieces that are on there, but I do know that smart music, or not smart music, Darklands March is included in smart music. So what you can do is change the tempo. You can see the music being played with the orchestra or with the band. And then as you play it, it'll give you real-time feedback. So when you play the correct note, it will light up green, saying, yes, you got that note correct. Or the next note, it will highlight it in red, saying, no, you did not get that note correct. And then that gives you a way to see, oh, that's the one that I need to work on. I personally was just playing through some things, and I realized it kept dinging me on a half note tied into a quarter note onto the next measure, because I kept clipping it off too early. And it pointed that out 3 times. Me as a professional musician, I'm thinking, oh, I know all this. No, there's something I need to learn as well. So it's objective. It's not your friend, but it's definitely going to help you out and tell you what you need to get better at. Huge benefit. Another one on this list that actually one of the volunteers brings up, I think Kaysen uses this one, is Sight Reading Factory. And the Sight Reading Factory, I included a couple of examples we can go to in just a second, and hopefully you have your instrument at home that you can try playing with this as well, will show you an automatic, or it'll generate a sight reading piece that's still going to sound like a melody, something you would want to play, but it's completely random, which will practice your sight reading skills. So for now, for MYS, you won't have to worry about that apparently, which is fine, but in the future, it will come up again.
Yes, yeah, this is a one-time thing, everybody. Don't get too excited.
But I recently started using Sight Reading Factory, and there is a cost involved with this as well. I can't know exactly right now. I think it's about $40 for a year-long subscription, but maybe somebody in the comments knows what that price is. It's really been beneficial because you can change it to whatever instrument you play. So if you're an orchestra, or maybe you play 2 different instruments, I know one person plays, I think he plays viola and saxophone, so he's both reading viola flat and he's transposing from an E flat instrument. This program will show both of those. So you don't have to worry about, oh, well, they don't have a saxophone part for me, or they don't have the bass clef for me. They'll have it all, and I'll show you that in just a second. There's also ways that you can delineate or set your level. So if you know that this is a weakness for you, you can start at level 1 and work on that until you feel prepared with it. Or if you're a beast and you can sight read like a champion, go up to level 6 and then see how much you can do. Then flex your skills and bump up the metronome. I guarantee level 6 is probably going to make even the most seasoned musician freak out a little bit. So if you think you're too good for that app, just wait, just try it, see what happens.
Nice, I want to do that.
Well, actually, why don't we? If you could have the next slide,
yes,
we can try a little bit of it, and then I'll go back and talk about musictheory.net and Tudo just a little bit.
Well, actually, I'm going to grab my violin.
Awesome. I got my clarinet. I'm going to do my best. So we'll see what happens. Oh, I also love, I'm seeing Emmett, some other people are really commenting here in the comments. It's helpful if you do something, or you have an app that you use, or a website. I would love to hear about that. There are so many of them that, I mean, we could get bogged down with all of the different apps we could use. But these are the ones that I found to be either highly reviewed, pretty highly, people like it, or the things that I've used that I found really useful. Okay, so on the sight reading, if you can see it on the screen, hopefully you can, but you just have to be a little closer. The top line is going to be the C instruments, so there's your flute, oboe, violin, whatnot, bells. Then you have your B flat line, second line. The third line is going to be your viola line. Fourth line should be the F line. So horn players, that'll be you, and then the C instrument bass clef. Now there is no E flat instrument on this one because they set it up as a full orchestra score. You could put an E flat saxophone in here as well, but I think there's only one saxophone player that I know of, and he doubles on viola anyway, so you can choose your poison. So for this one, for sight reading, whatever tips you've learned in the past, such as looking at your time signature, looking at your key signature, looking at dynamic changes along the way, your range, what's the highest note, lowest note, start looking for those things along the way. And then, I think well, Dr. Gomez, have you tried playing with somebody on Skype before and does it work? Or is there still a lag?
You know, I didn't. We're about to find out, but I think I think I can make it work. There's no lag, but my sound will trump your sound. Unless I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute my mic, so you won't be able to hear me, but I will be able to hear you, and everybody will be able to hear both of us.
Well, honestly, on clarinet, probably they want to hear you more than they would me anyway. So just saying that.
They'll hear both of us.
Okay, so let's try it. We're going to do some sight reading. I'm going to count 4 beats, and then you read your line and do your best. Also notice the ranges. You have an octave difference, so if you are comfortable playing in the higher range, flute players, violin players, do that. Clarinet players, probably choose what range fits for you. Use your own intelligence there. Okay, here we go. Let's sight read all the way to the end. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Okay.
Cool.
Then your job, go back, reflect, see how we did in the notes, getting the rhythms, go back, isolate those little spots, those little chunks slowly, then come back and try the whole again. I'm wondering, Dr. Gomez, maybe after the kids had a second to kind of look at it, if we want to play it one more time, do you take a lead on this one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, think dynamics too. I notice when I do sight reading with most of my kids, dynamics usually becomes the second thing, or the third thing, or the fourth thing to look at, rather than trying to put the expression in right away. So if you miss one of those things, try to do it this time.
Yeah, and you know what? Now you say that, I didn't even see it. I totally missed the piano there. Okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
let's do it again. So I will count, and we'll get through it again. That was a good tempo we were just playing a moment ago. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I don't know how much I did play piano, but I don't know how much dynamics are getting through this little headset mic. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, awesome. That was great. And then what I think is nice about this too is when you get into the program itself, is it will play along with you. So it will give you the metronome marking, so you can hear if you're making the right sounds or not, and you can change the tempo. If it's too fast, slow it down. If it's not fast enough, speed it up. So you have the options to control where you're at in there. All right. The next one.
Do you mind if I add something to this for all of you watching? Look, even though you will not have to do sight reading for your MYS auditions coming up, getting good, getting better at sight reading will have all kinds of benefits for your playing. Like, no question about it. So I strongly believe that it should be something you should add to your regular practicing. You know, you don't have to practice sight reading in every practice session necessarily, but I would say weekly, you know, do it at least 2 times, 3 times. Like anything, you're just going to get better at it, and it's going to improve your solo performance, your ensemble performance, etc.
Yeah. I feel blessed that people focus on sight reading with me with my lessons because when I start to play music with other people who are professional musicians and I can keep up, I feel proud of myself. I feel like I've accomplished something. It makes it a lot more fun. So it isn't just for auditions necessarily, it's to become an early stellar musician. Another thing that kind of helps with music is just knowing the theory. There were some amazing lessons when I watched the conductor of the Interlude Orchestra last week talk about the circle of fifths and the scales. That was beautiful. There was so much information in there. And I know sometimes I get a little overwhelmed with so much because she gave everything so clearly. There were still things that I missed. Musictheory.net is a great website to kind of figure out where you are as well. Much like Sight Reading Factory, there's different levels that you can do. And I can't really show you necessarily because it won't really work on my phone, but I'll give you some ideas of how to use it. The lessons will give you clear lessons on theory, like here's how you build a scale, here's how you can build a minor scale off of that, here's how you can build German 6/4 chord, and all of that if you really want to go there as well. But what I find really fascinating is the exercises that come with it, because you can customize all these exercises. Let's see if you can see better. Whoops. Well, there you go. Okay, I need to stop touching things. All right.
So is that?
May not work.
Is that, you know what? I'll pull it up and I'll put it up on my browser.
Maybe you could do that. Yeah. What I went to is the customized feature or the exercise customizer.
Yes.
Because what I did in here is, for example, if I go to the note identification, because I really want to work on both my treble and bass clef, because I have a piano syllabus exam coming up pretty soon, it's probably going to change it so that I can read both clefs, and there's a way that you can do it. I also need to extend the range. So there's ways in here. It's kind of freaking out on me. I'll let you kind of experiment with this on your own and see what you can change. So if you want work on just the space notes on bass clef, because you're new to that, A, C, E, G, you can change it to just the bass notes and the spaces and get those. If you want to change it to a 2-octave range with all the accidentals, including double sharps and double flats, you can do that as well. So you have to kind of find where your level is, and then that will help you and guide you through that stuff.
And which feature exactly is this one again? Sorry.
If you go to exercises and scroll all the way down to the exercise customizer.
There it is. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, then that's one way that you can change specifically. If you go into each exercise, like if you go into the note identification or key signature identification, in the top right of the screen, much like the YouTube screen, there's a settings gear. If you click that settings gear, that's where you can customize the exercise.
Very cool. Okay, yeah. I'm showing that on the screen right now.
I see that. The ear training, that you're on that, I see that too. The ear training is something that's, for me even, if I always come back to me, I don't know why. It's about that practice and being able to do that whenever I want to is really useful. I can't always sit down at the piano, or I can't always ask somebody who's a non-musician, hey, can you play a perfect fourth interval on the piano? I want to quiz myself. That's unrealistic. But this program will do that. It will go through all the intervals that I want to do, especially if you're taking piano, or I think other lessons do the Music Teacher National Association syllabus, where it asks you to play a certain level of scales, asks you to identify certain intervals by ear as well. So you can even change it that you want to practice your ascending pitches, your descending pitches, your stat chords at the same time. You can change all those settings. So I'm hoping people will go in there, check it out, see all the ways you can really give yourself an advantage when you get back into the band. Saying, well, I took these music theory lessons. I know all these scales now. What about you?
You know what this reminds me of? This is kind of a silly story, but this is something my youth orchestra conductor, when I was in middle school and high school, used to say that he used to tell a story of a woodcutter. What do you call this person? There's a different name for it.
I know what you. Yep.
With an axe, a person who cuts wood with an axe. That's this person's job. And
a lumberjack?
Yeah, lumberjack. Thank you.
Okay.
And for some reason, like, he was not able to cut wood for like 3 months. Maybe it was winter or something. I don't know. Actually, it's two lumberjacks, and one of them, just sat there and did nothing for 3 months, and the other one spent all 3 months sharpening his axe and getting his tool ready. So when it was time to go back and cut wood, guess who cut more wood, right? So I feel like in a way that's where we are. All of you guys currently can't really play with your ensembles, but you can certainly sharpen your axe. And one way to do that is by spending time, self motivated and self led time sharpening your axe when it comes to all this music theory stuff. And
Exactly. Yeah, because we talk about these being the fundamentals, or even something in your toolbox right there. Your work is only as good as your tools. So if you have crappy tools, like Dr. Gomez is saying, your work is going to be compromised. But if you spend time working on the tools, it makes the job so much easier. I heard that story from a book called The 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. The exact same thing. Sharpen the saw. Get your tools sharp.
Cool. There you have it.
All right. I have a couple more tools, actually, I would like to show you, speaking of tools. And it has to do with a little extra. So there's a slide on composing and arranging with a couple of websites I wanted to show you.
Got it.
If anybody's ever familiar with the program Finale or Sibelius, they're these really, big, expensive kind of resources that are huge for writing music. Composers love them, and I got to do that in college, but I can't afford a $200-$300 program right now. So I use Noteflight.com, and I use this almost all the time. Noteflight is a free online software program where you can compose music, and it's fairly intuitive. So when you use your mouse and you move up and down the staff, you can input a note. You can move it with the keyboard arrows moving up and down. You can even type the notes in from the keyboard. So if you're a fairly quick typer, you want to write D-A-D, get the notes D-A-D, or you can type them on the keyboard that way. What I like about the program is if you want to experiment, just compose something and write something. Maybe you write a melody that you play in band, and you want to write a bass line to it just to see what it sounds like. Or maybe you don't know exactly what your part is supposed to sound like because maybe you're used to having somebody else play it or type it with them. You can input the notes into Noteflight and maybe cheat a little bit, and you can have it play it back for you, and then you can get an idea of what that sound is supposed to be. I use it a lot for my arranging. If I have a flute part in a jazz band where the jazz piece just doesn't have a flute part for it, I'll go and I'll write that part through Noteflight, and then I'll send that file to my kids so they have something to play along with as well. Because if you can slow down the tempo, you can change the notes. You can even transpose it if you wanted to. If you want to play on an alto saxophone, go ahead. So that's Noteflight. MuseScore is very similar. I think MuseScore might be, and you can't quote me on this, I think it might be a little bit cheaper. I personally haven't experimented a whole lot with MuseScore, but I do know that people use that as more of a sharing device. Like they'll put their music online and they'll share it with everybody so you can go look at what other people compose. I know my kids really wanted to play something from XXXTentacion, current hip-hop artist. And if you go and look through J.W. Pepper, you look through anything where us band directors look, you won't find that. You won't find anything that current, or probably in the hip-hop idiom. But MuseScore, somebody has written that. So I know, if anybody knows Judy Rose, she's a band director at one of the middle schools in Portland Public School, she gets a lot of her music that way, because she gets it where the kids want to play, something that's useful for them, but it's also in the band arrangement. Somebody took the time to make sure you can actually play it on clarinet and saxophone, because usually modern music is difficult. So that has a lot of users that will put their stuff up for free.
Very cool.
The other one I found recently is flat.io. I don't know how people pronounce it, but there is an add-on for the Google Slides. So what I did is I found this add-on, and I'm going to try doing something. I'm going to maybe go in and rearrange these notes and see if they come back differently when you change the screen. Is I can type right into a slide or right into a Google document. So if I need to explain something quickly to somebody, there's an add-on called Flat. So what I'm going to try to do is, what's a melody? What simple children's melody you want me to try?
Let's say Ode to Joy.
Okay. Let me load this up really quick. You're probably not going to be able to hear because I have my speakers off. We'll see how fast I can type this in.
And then,
Then, in just a second, I'm going to ask you to change the screen. Go Go ahead.
Oh, you mean that the it's going to change it on the slides you sent me?
It should, if I'm doing this
okay.
right anyway.
Yes, yeah. I see a little thing that tells me you're okay. So let me see. I mean, I see your.
Try to do this quickly. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm almost there. I'm so close. I'm so close.
Yeah.
I mostly just want to flex.
But yeah, the
Just
little notes.
show you what this program can do quickly.
The little notes that were there before are not there anymore.
Good. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
So now,
whoa!
check it out.
This is.
Yeah. So I'm able to type. Yeah. There you go.
You just blew my mind with this.
So this is a huge presentation tool because then I can go in here and compose this really quickly. And it's very much like NoteFlight or MuseScore to where it's pretty user-friendly. You can figure it out really quickly. And you can even, I can move this around, put it in different slides, you can make this bigger, do whatever you want with it.
Wow, I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. So try it out. Put that in Google Documents sometime and send that to somebody. It's a really easy way to collaborate because there are other ways you can collaborate in NoteFlight or MuseScore or whatnot. But this, for me, is a lot easier. It's simplified. It's not going to give you all the complexities that the others do, but it gives you something.
Very cool. Wow.
All right. And then, looking at the time, a couple other ones, and I wanted to mention this at the beginning. For anybody that was hanging on and watching the video all the way to the end, what I wanted to do is give you a code to a free subscription to Soundtrap, because I have some extra from my school that I got, and I think there's enough people watching now that you could get one if you would like.
Oh, very cool.
So I use GarageBand. Oh, this is on the next slide also. On GarageBand, most people I think have this if you have an iOS operating system. For Apple, or I think it's just Apple. GarageBand is really cool that you can record these pre-recorded loops. They're a little bit more modern. You can still find classical sounds, you can find smooth sounds, loud sounds, whatever you want to create basically in there. You can record yourself playing with those beats. You can use some of the pre-recorded beats to slow down the tempo, speed up the tempo, do all of this kind of extra crazy stuff. But it's only limited to Apple products. Soundtrap, I found that you can use on the internet. I think it works best with the Google Chrome browser. You may have to experiment and see if it works otherwise. But on the screen in just a moment, you should be seeing a website, or you should see instructions for Soundtrap that says, one, click the link to the comments, and then it's going to give you a code, the code KY32HFD. That will give you an automatic free subscription until the end of June. And then I created a class for just MYS students. If you want to join that, you can also collaborate with anybody who is using this program right now. So if you know that you want to play with the percussionists in your group or the whoever, B5 instruments, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, then you can ask them to join. They can record with a click track, much like you're going to get pretty soon. And then you can try to record your part on top of theirs to see if it lines up. You can also change the volume to make it sound like it's actually lined up together. It won't be the same as the virtual orchestra where we can see each other, but you'll get that idea of needing to play your part precisely to fit with somebody else to make the whole thing sound good. So maybe this will be an experiment for what's coming down the line.
Yes, and so the link will how.
Oh, link. Let me get you the link. My bad.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I forgot to put in there. And then the other thing I'd like to do is maybe include this slideshow in the comment section. So if anybody wants to get this, there's other links that I included in here as well. Then you can just click the link and get the slideshow. All right, let me find the link really quick. So I'm going to have to do the digging, so it might be quiet for just about 30 seconds.
Yeah, and in the meantime, what I'll do, if you'll, I will grab this link here, copy link, and I will put that on the comments here. This is the link to the slides that we were just looking at. That's now on the comments. And I will go back to full screen here. And then back here.
Alright, I'll almost got the link here. I wonder how many kids right now watching are used to their teachers doing this, looking down, like, I'm trying to find you something. Wait, I'm trying to find you something.
Yeah, it's the new normal. We're all doing it. Um,
Okay, so I'm editing the document right now to include the link. It's soundtrap.com/edu.
okay.
So if you go there, then you'll join as a student, and then that's where you can use that code from the slideshow.
Perfect. I've put that up in the comments. So,
Awesome. Oh, I see 3 other people have already joined the slideshow. Nice job.
oh, nice.
Okay, and then the last slide I had was just some games that I found were useful. My kids really like these a lot. Staff Wars. There's 2 different versions of Staff Wars. One is where you just see the notes on the staff, and then you touch the notes in, and the spaceship will shoot the notes to get them in time. And then it'll speed up each level, so you have to get it pretty quick as you go on. The second one is Staff Wars Live, where you'll actually play your instrument, and if you get the correct note, then it will shoot that note down.
What?
Yeah, Staff Wars Live. I think it costs a couple dollars, but super fun. The only issue I have discovered with that one, you have to transpose your instrument, and you have to set your range, which will be a little tricky if you don't quite know the range or what you're looking for. Then also, for some reason, D on clarinet, it doesn't register it. I don't know if it's because all my clarinet players are just out of tune. I'm going to say it's the program, but that's a good way to probably check your information on your instrument, because that's usually what keeps people from getting those notes.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah. And then Google Google Music Lab, rather. It's more fun than anything else. It's a really good way to know your dog, too, because it'll test all the different ranges of your hearing abilities. So it'll give you like the 15,000 hertz that's obnoxious and the really low ones. There's piano keyboards to play with. It will give you string theory. So what happens if you cut a string in half, if you cut it in thirds, cut it in fourths, and so on. A lot of things to play with. It'll build scales for you. You can even compose things with it, too.
So cool.
And beatbox. Just a lot of fun stuff to play with in beatbox. It's just kind of a grid matrix where you put in sounds. It gives you kind of the steps and the whole steps as well. So you can kind of see what the music is with space, sort of the beats as well. But again, just something to play with and enjoy your neighbors.
I can just spend hours. I'm just looking at this the Chrome Music Lab stuff. Like that's a serious rabbit hole here that I might fall into later.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that pretty much does it. I was also wondering if anybody had ideas that they do, put it in the comments section, because obviously I'm not the only holder of knowledge.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to share any other websites or resources, the comment section is great for that right now. But I want to thank you, Mr. Littledyke, because the majority of things you spoke about I actually didn't know about, and I'm looking forward to exploring those. I mean, I'm making all kinds of notes here. And some of these are just fun.
They're so fun. If you're bored and you want to do music, do one of the fun games here. There's nothing wrong with fun. That's why we call it playing music.
Yeah, and one of my favorites is I want to check out Soundtrap, because that's something that young musicians can use on their own to engage with other young musicians and collaborate.
Yeah, that collaboration tool is really sleek in that feature.
Very cool. Okay, so thank you. I mean, this was a great session. A lot of useful stuff. Everybody, just keep sharpening your tools. Yes, keep up. The good work. You received information about your virtual performances by email, but you're going to be getting those click tracks this week. So keep an eye out for those. And thank you again, Mr. Littledyke. I am going to keep the comment section open in case there are any more questions. But we'll go ahead and start transitioning to the next session. So thank you again. Thank you, everybody.
Yes,
and we'll
all right, good to see you.
See you later. I'll keep the comments open. Bye.
Bye.